Chapter 401. Did Du Xiao mean that he didn't like her? Then why did he like Bei Yunj? Under everyone's gaze, Qin Youjiao bit her lip and did not ask further. However, her expression did not change. She never thought that Bei Yunj would benefit from her finding Du Xiao. Let's eat first. What else can we talk about when we eat? Old Master Qin said with a smile with a rosy face. It was obvious that Old Master Qin did not expect Du Xiao to want to take his granddaughter in as a student. At this moment, he was already overjoyed. On the other hand, Old Master Yun's eyes had been fixed on Bei Yunj. He had a feeling that she and Du Xiao did not know each other ordinarily. Otherwise, why would Du Xiao admire Bei Yunj so much? Du Xiao did not even like Qin Youjiao, who was beside him. After the meal, Mrs. Qin and Qin Youjiao's expressions were the worst. In the end, before the Qin brothers could think of a way to get them out, Mrs. Qin left with Qin Youjiao. She did not want to stay in this place anymore. However, Mr. Qin's expression was guilty. Taking advantage of the time when Qin Lang and the other brothers were not glued to him, he walked towards Bei Yunj. "Gur, what happened just now? Mr. Qin, are you here to apologize to me?" Bei Yunj's gaze was distant, and even her curved eyes did not have a smile. "Yes." Mr. Qin clenched his fists and admitted it. "Thinking about it, it's not the first time you've caused trouble for me." Bei Yunj's red lips curved and her tone was lazy. Compared to apologizing, "I hope that you will disappear from my sight with your beloved daughter." "Gur Jiaojiao didn't say that you cheated." Mr. Qin explained instinctively. "Did she say that there's any conflict with me wanting her to disappear?" Bei Yunj was still smiling lazily. There was a coldness in her extremely beautiful eyes that Mr. Qin had never seen before. Then before Mr. Qin could continue speaking, Bei Yunj saw Huashidu accompanying Old Master Qin down the stairs. The corners of her lips curled up as she walked towards the stairs. Bei Yunj asked with a smile as she leaned lazily against the railing with one hand supporting her head, and watched the man walk down the stairs. "What are you talking about with Grandpa?" "Talking about you." The man's thin red lips hooked up, then lazily stretched out his hand, leisurely scratched her chin. Bei Yunj was tickled and subconsciously rubbed against his cool fingertips. Huashidu could not help but chuckle when he saw this. In the eyes of the bystanders, this small interaction was inexplicably doting. When Old Master Qin saw this, he came back to his senses and felt that something was wrong. In the study room just now, he had only chatted with Huashidu about Bei Yunj's living environment and studies. He felt that Huashidu was someone who could take good care of Gu-er. But now, looking at this scene, Old Master Qin inexplicably felt that something was out of his control. "Grandpa Qin, I'll take Yunyan back first. I'll visit you another day." The man in front of her was so polite that no one could find fault with him. Okay. Be careful on the road." Old Master Qin, an ordinary elder, could not help but remind them. Huashidu replied, "Okay." "Huh? Isn't Gu-er staying at the old mansion today?" Qin Yu blurted out instinctively. "Why would she stay? Doesn't your sister need to go to school?" Old Master Qin rolled his eyes. However, in fact, seeing that his brothers cared about Bei Yunj, he was relieved. P.S. Be good and remember to vote. Chapter 402. That's enough. Don't just stand there and watch. Old Master Qin laughed coldly. "I usually see that you're so busy, but you took the initiative to stay today. So it's because of Gu-er." Qin Yu was speechless. "Not really." Old Master Qin chuckled and glanced at his three grandsons. How could he not know why everyone was here today? If it wasn't for Gu-er, how long would these three be willing to stay in the old mansion? However, he could also tell that compared to these three biological brothers, Gu-er liked the younger generation of the Hua family more. After leaving the old mansion, Seng Su was driving in front. Huashida's eyes were lazy and his well-defined hands loosened his tie casually. Even the two buttons on his collar were loose. He exuded a lustful and frivolous aura. The man glanced at the girl beside him. "Yunyan, why were you angry just now?" He knew that this child was not someone who would give others a way out. However, it was rare for him to act so recklessly. Bei Yunj was looking at the night view on the sparkling bridge outside. Hearing this, she turned back and thought for a while before she realized that Hoshidu was talking about Qin Yojiao. Bei Yunji's eyes curved and the smile in her eyes was cold and unrestrained. She needs to be taught a lesson. It was not that Bei Yunji did not know that Qin Yojiao had manipulated public opinion to drag Director Lin down, and called Director Lin to come to Hengda. It was just that it was not time to touch her yet. But it did not mean that Bei Yunji had the patience to watch her jump around under her nose. Seeing the coldness in Bei Yunji's eyes, Hoshidu knew the relationship between the two of them. "Brother, are you going to educate me?" Bei Yunji looked up at him and asked with a smile. Hoshida's gaze landed on her unwaveringly. He chuckled lazily and carelessly pinched her cheeks. The man's posture was light and seductive. The warmth of his fingers was so ambiguous that it made her blush and her heart race. My elder young miss should be more pampered and willful. As for the rules, it was not up to his child to follow. Hearing this, Bei Yunji's heart skipped a beat. It was as if a different emotion had taken root in her heart, and was growing quietly. Before long, Hoshidu suddenly remembered what old Master Qin had said just now. "Yin." Bei Yunji asked, "What's wrong?" "You can go back to the Qin family's old residence in a few days." As soon as the man spoke, Bei Yunji subconsciously moved her fingertips. The emotions in Bei Yunji's eyes were unclear. After a moment, her fingertips fiddled with her clothes again. "Okay." After that, the atmosphere in the car was a little strange. Even after getting out of the car, Bei Yunji waited for Hoshidu as usual. She was more than a meter away from him. How could Hoshidu not tell that something was wrong with this young lady? Subsequently, he had just started walking towards Bei Yunji when he saw the little girl in front of him also walking forward. "Yin." "Okay, I'm going back to do my homework." The Pei in front acted as if nothing had happened. The corners of the man's upturned eyes were seductive, but there was a smile on his face. His voice trailed off as he called out again, "Yin." "What's wrong?" Bei Yunji's tone was gentle. "Brother is a little tired. Can you help brother back?" "Bei Yunji." She turned around and looked at the tall man with long legs in front of her expressionlessly. However, the man's posture was lazy and light. He did not look tired at all. Bei Yunji took a deep breath without batting an eyelid. "I can't help him." "I see." The smile on the man's lips was almost imperceptible. Just as Bei Yunji turned around, he suddenly walked over. "Then Yin should be tired." Chapter 403. Hearing this, before Bei Yunji could deny it, someone suddenly hugged her waist and turned her world upside down. The man easily carried her up. However, Bei Yunji felt that her center of gravity was unstable and subconsciously wrapped her arms around the man's neck. "What are you doing?" The man's deep and magnetic voice whispered in her ears with a smile, but his tone was light, flirtatious and seductive. "Are you tired, Yin? Then I'll carry you back." Bei Yunji looked up and saw the man's refined side profile without blushing. She fell silent. It was all this face's fault. It was too deceptive back then. She had used all kinds of tricks along the way, but the man did not put her down. Until they returned to the living room. Hoshidu placed her on the sofa and stared at her. "Bei Yunji, can I go upstairs?" The man's tone was lazy. "No." Bei Yunji. Seeing that the little girl had been silent, the man's Adam's apple moved and he laughed softly. "Can't you stay with me for a while longer?" Bei Yunji mimicked his attitude just now. "No." Who knew? The man looked at her for a while and laughed softly. He suddenly leaned closer and dragged out his last syllable. His deep and ambiguous voice seemed to be blatantly seducing her. "Yin, do you mean that you can't do anything?" "Yes." Bei Yunji turned her head and did not look at that face that could easily make people lose their bottom line. The corners of the man's lips curled up imperceptibly, but he was not frivolous. "Then can you not act coquettishly with me?" "No." Before Bei Yunji could finish speaking, she reacted. Her eyes moved and she subconsciously looked up, but she did not expect to meet the man's half-dark eyes. It was so tempting that her legs turned to jelly. However, the man's eyes had melted into a thick black color, and he was still staring straight at her. His sexy throat moved slightly and he let out a chuckle. He lazily reached out and rubbed her cheek. "Yes, so cute." It took Bei Yunj a while to react to his unexpected compliment. When did she act coquettishly? Bei Yunj looked up expressionlessly. Huashidu. Clearly, this little girl was already on the verge of exploding. Yes, I'm here. Bei Yunj's eyelids twitched, but when she looked at the man's handsome face, her anger dissipated. She gritted her teeth and only managed to squeeze out 2 words. Behave yourself. After saying this, Bei Yunj stood up and walked upstairs. The man's usually cold peach blossom eyes were curled up at this moment. His smile was too good-looking and seductive, as if it could electrify people. The next day, Bei Yunj received a call early in the morning. It was Marcus who called to tell Bei Yunj that there were a lot of things that could be developed in the computer industry. He asked her if she planned to do it herself. After all, whether it was in the field of high-performance computers or the information industry, they had a natural advantage in terms of technology. Therefore, if Bei Yunj was interested, she might be able to give it a try. You want to do it too? Bei Yunj sat in the back seat and asked. I don't have the time. Someone came to talk to me about this some time ago, so I thought of you. Marcus smiled. It had to be said that Marcus was indeed very considerate of Bei Yunj. Thank you, Marcus. Bei Yunj smirked before she said, I have an idea. When do you plan to do it? Marcus asked immediately. Bei Yunj said kindly, there's no hurry. I'll look for Delaney later. I want to catch up with him. P.S. Be good and remember to vote. Chapter 404. Marcus didn't understand at first. After hanging up the phone, he thought for a while. He only thought of one use for Delaney. Marcus was speechless. He probably didn't want to reminisce about the past, but to get some money. At this moment, Delaney, who was still admiring beauties at the banquet, was still ignorant and happy. A few days later, the results of the second round of the International Musicians Association were out. 2 members of the International Musicians Association sent her the selection video and the admission results. As there were more eliminations in the second round, Bei Yunj could not help but frown after watching a few videos of people advancing to the second round. She watched all the selection videos again. In the end, somehow, she stopped at the selection video of an old man wearing a gentleman's hat and a tuxedo. She patiently listened to this original performance and called the members of the International Musicians Association. The members of the International Musicians Association obviously did not expect Yun, who had always been cold and ignored people, to call him. Jin Jiheng was careful. Yun. Hello. I would like to ask, why didn't number 107 advance? As Bei Yunj spoke, she watched the old man's video again. Upon hearing this, Jin Jiheng immediately went to look at number 107's selection video. Another voice sounded from the other end of the phone, as if asking him what had happened. After Jin Jiheng finished explaining, there was no response from the other end of the phone. Bei Yunj was not in a hurry. She just waited in boredom. Not long after, it was another person replying to her. His voice was sharp and deep, with a hint of mockery. He's too old. Besides, this is an original song. Anyone can write it better than him. He was the one who eliminated this old man. The original song was so unpleasant. He did not know what kind of mentality he had to dare to use it to participate in the International Musicians Association's selection. Girl Classmate Network. Did the International Musicians Association accept all kinds of trash? Jin Jiheng warned. Arn. I didn't say anything wrong. Arnie's tone was disdainful. Alright, I got it. Bei Yunj restrained the light in her eyes and said unhurriedly, at a spot, and let him pass the second round. Instantly, Arn froze and his tone became sharper. Why? How can there be such a person in our International Musicians Association? He was already very dissatisfied with the recruitment of Country A's people. Now they were still recruiting such old and untalented people. Really? Because I think I can, Bei Yunj said slowly. When Arn heard this, his eyes were filled with malice. He could no longer hide his dissatisfaction with Bei Yunj. He sneered. Yun, I admit that you're young and talented. But recruiting such a piece of trash, could it be that you made some shady deal with him? After all, she had been indifferent during the first round. Arn, watch your words. Kim Jiheng frowned and reprimanded. President Du Xiao thought so highly of Yuan. Wasn't Arn slapping President Du Xiao's face by offending Yuan like this? Afterward, before Arn could continue mocking him, he heard a lazy voice. She smiled faintly. Do you think I need to explain it to you? You. Arnie's expression changed. If you don't want to work anymore, get Elder Du to replace you as soon as possible, Bei Yunj said casually. Hearing this, Arnie's face turned green and red, but he did not dare to tell Du Xiao. He still had business to attend to, so how could he leave? Moreover. Chapter 405. After holding it in for a while, Arn then said, I was being nosy. I'll add it for him now. It's good that you know your place. Pei Yunj laughed lazily and hung up the call very quickly. This infuriated Arn even more. This Yuan. She's simply young and frivolous. Jin Jiheng sipped his tea silently. But she's talented. So what if she's talented? Someone like her. Before Arn could finish speaking, Jin Jiheng suddenly paused. He placed the teacup on the table heavily and leaned closer to the computer. It was as if he wanted to see how the 107 elder played. What are you doing? Arn was shocked by his action and quickly turned to ask. Look at the way he plays. At first, Jin Jiheng also felt that Yun's personal preferences were a little strange. Why would she take a fancy to such an ordinary old man? But not long after, he realized that something was wrong. Look at the movements of his fingers and elbows when he plays. Also, this small section just now seems to have about 200 to 300 notes. Jin Jiheng was stunned. At first, he only felt that this composition and style were very mediocre. In fact, it was not likable. But now that he listened carefully, it was an original score that was extremely difficult to play. Moreover, it had a strong emotional impact. Arnie's expression changed. He did not expect that this was really the one that was almost missed. But not long after, he was still disdainful. He's already so old. What's the use of coming to the International Musicians Association? Besides, we still need to listen carefully to this song to realize that it's different. What about ordinary listeners? Bei Yunj was quite interested in this score, but perhaps because the style was too different, it needed to be polished. She wrote for about 20 minutes. Just as she found the old man's email and was about to send it over, she paused. A moment later, at the end, Pei Yunj typed another paragraph of text. The score is not bad. I'm looking forward to the next round. After typing, she sent it and turned off her computer. At this moment, at the Bo family residence, the atmosphere was especially strange. Bo Xiuqin glanced at father and mother Bo, who did not look too good. If grandpa likes it, let him do it. In the past, when old Master Bo was young, his family did not allow him to learn music, because he was the only heir of the family. But now that there was someone in the family managing the company, the old man could do whatever he wanted. Are we not going to let him do it now? Mr. Bo's face darkened. Your grandfather heard from others that the people who advanced in the second round of the International Musicians Association have already received the news. He hasn't. Right now the old man is fishing and thinking about life. At first, he did not agree to old Master Bo going, because he was afraid that old Master Bo would not be able to advance, and would be so upset that he would not be able to eat for a few days. But now what he was afraid of had happened. Can't the International Musicians Association be bought with money? Bo Xiuqin frowned. Mr. and Mrs. Bo's expressions changed. But very quickly, Mother Bo carefully looked upstairs. Seeing that there was no movement, she dared to speak softly. Mom has used her connections. Mr. Jean, who is in charge of recruitment, is my old classmate. But no matter what, they refused to open the back door. Bo Xiuqin was silent for a moment. Where are the others in charge? One of them is from Country B. It's said that he has a big problem with people who are too old. It won't work either. Mrs. Bo thought for a while and said, There's another one. The person in charge is from our country. Bo Xiuqin looked at her. Who is it? Chapter 406. It's Manman's arranger. Her name is Yuan. When Bo Xiuqin heard this, helplessness appeared in his cold and arrogant eyes. Since they know each other, can't we just contact Manran directly? I've contacted them. This won't work. Mrs. Bo looked worried. Man said that if we really went to look for Yun, that person might directly eliminate Old Master. Sigh, why are there so many people in this world who don't bend over for money? Bo Xiuqin glanced at her and did not say anything else. A moment later, he suddenly remembered. Old Master is fishing? I didn't see him when I came over from the pond just now. He thinks the wind is cold and got the butler to catch a few fish and put them in the bucket. He's fishing upstairs. Bo Xiuqin. Will he come downstairs to eat later? He might not. Hence, the entire Bo family started to worry about the troublesome Old Master. Half an hour later, there was a commotion upstairs. Son. Daughter-in-law. Chun. I've advanced. Suddenly, Old Master Bo ran down like a gust of wind, his face overjoyed. Father Bo was shocked and immediately went forward to help him, afraid that he would fall. Aya, why are you helping me? Old Master Bo slapped Father Bo's hand away unhappily and instantly beamed. Look. This is for me. Hearing this, Father Bo looked like he had seen a ghost and really looked at the email carefully. How could anyone take a liking to the old man's strange composition? Grandpa, did someone else send it from this account too? Bo Xiuqin looked at the email account. It did not seem to be an official account. Account? Let me ask. Old Master Bo was stunned for a moment before he quickly went to ask the other participants. Who knew? The account information sent by others was completely different from the account information sent to him. Cold Master Bo's expression changed. I don't think so. Seeing that Old Master Bo was in a daze, Bo Xiuqin immediately called the International Musicians Association to ask. Father and Mother Bo shook their heads frantically. This old master was already agitated. What if this email was really fake and someone else's prank? However, Bo Xiuqin ignored them and continued to negotiate with the International Musicians Association. After hanging up, Bo Xiuqin turned around and said, We don't know who sent this email. The International Musicians Association said that the official account will send an email to explain later. Oh! Old Master Bo's ears drooped, and the joy he felt just now was gone. The family of four watched the TV series expressionlessly. The atmosphere became even colder. About 15 minutes later, Old Master Bo's heart skipped a beat when he heard his phone vibrate. He calmed down for a moment and opened the email. Unexpectedly, there were two emails. One was the official promotion notice from the International Musicians Association. The other letter was also an explanation from the International Musicians Association. Hello, Mr. Bo. After checking, your email was sent by the person in charge of recruitment, Yun. I hope you will continue to work hard and look forward to the day when the International Musicians Association meets you. Although this explanation was written very officially, however, Old Master Bo almost stood up. It was Yun who sent it to me. Old Master Bo was so excited that he was incoherent. When he thought of the email that Yun had just sent him, which contained guidance and encouragement for him, he felt like he was about to fly. Among so many second-round promotions, only he was specially sent by Yun. At this moment. Chapter 407. What entered her eyes was a rather long professional guide. Although it was long, there was no nonsense at all. It was very concise. It could be seen that this person in charge was not easy to get close to. It could also be seen that this person in charge really liked the old master's score. After reading it, Mr. Bo looked up and saw his son's probing gaze. It was as if he was asking him, "Don't tell me you've already bribed her?" Mr. Bo was speechless. If they really bribed him, did he need to be so anxious? However, the most reassuring thing now was that the old master had advanced. Their Bo family's crisis had also been resolved. For a few days, news about the International Musicians Association was spreading crazily online. The person who was discussed the most was Qin Youjiao, who was the youngest in the second round of the International Musicians Association. Although the fake young lady of the Qin family had made Qin Youjiao a big joke. However, in the eyes of the netizens, the nearly 18 debutante ball last time, and the second round of the International Musicians Association this time had completely turned the tables. Even her fans had increased by more than half, and the comments section was filled with praises. What kind of beautiful and talented young lady can enter the second round of the International Musicians Association? Piano tour at the age of 18. She can reach the second round of the International Musicians Association at the age of 19. Nice, her future is promising. Is there anything to be proud of in the second round of the International Musicians Association? She wasn't recruited. The person who said this is really brainless. There are only about 20 members in the International Musicians Association, and all of them are immortals. It's normal not to enter, but it's heaven-defying to enter. Qin Youjiao is already very skilled to be able to reach the second round. Yes, it's said that there are more than 10,000 people who signed up this time. After the first round of elimination, only 200 people are left. There are only 20 to 30 people who advanced in the second round. Don't you think Qin Youjiao is amazing? Ha ha ha, if there's an official member under the age of 30 in the International Musicians Association, I'll cut off his head and let everyone kick it as a ball. Tisk, I used to think that Qin Youjiao had suffered a loss after leaving the Qin family. Now it seems like the Qin family is the one who suffered a loss. Ever since the Nearly 18 debutante ball, I've felt that this woman is not simple. I love her. Reading these comments, Qin Youjiao's lips curled up. But suddenly, a caller ID appeared on the phone screen. Qin Youjiao's smile froze, but she quickly picked up the call. How is it? Does it feel good to be the center of attention after the second round? The woman's voice sounded. Hearing this, Qin Youjiao knew very well that now that she had everything, this woman would make her pay a greater price. Thank you. The woman sneered. There's no need to thank me. You've passed the second round, but it'll be difficult for you to pass the third round. What do you mean by this? Qin Youjiao's heart seemed to be in her throat as she asked subconsciously. When I arranged this for you, I didn't investigate the person in charge. I only found out yesterday that the person in charge is Yuan. The woman's words immediately made Qin Youjiao's voice turn sharp. Her face turned pale. What? How is this possible? Didn't Yuan just enter the International Musicians Association? How could she be in charge of this recruitment? Speaking of which, it's all because of Yuan that Country A has these 2 spots. Therefore, the president loves her and her dog. The woman smiled. It's normal that she's the one in charge this time. However, what you need to worry about is that she interfered in the second round of selection. Qin Youjiao pursed her lips. Can't you help me settle it? With that said, laughter trailed from the other end. Chapter 408. I've asked. Yin has the final say in this recruitment. The woman answered without hiding anything. However, Qin Youjiao's heart tightened. But didn't you say that you would help me get a spot? With that said, anger rose in Qin Youjiao's heart as her eyes filled with jealousy. What right did Yuan have to be chosen by Du Xiao? And she couldn't. Jiao, why are you in such a hurry? Of course I'll help you. The woman added. I'm saying this because I don't want you to be affected by your emotions. Yuan isn't the students, you know. Even if there's a difference, it won't be too big. After all, with her ability, it's possible for her to succeed as the president in a few years. It was only when Qin Youjiao regained her senses that she realized the difference between her and Yuan. She gritted her teeth and asked, I know what you mean. Then what do I have to do to get a spot in the International Musicians Association? Remember the website address. Hearing this, the woman chuckled. Qin Youjiao's eyes turned red. However, there was silence on the other end of the call. Qin Youjiao froze. Using Yin's score? But Yuan was the person in charge of the recruitment. Could she be allowed in? Don't worry, I'll get her new score for you. As long as you can play it. She can only swallow this matter obediently. I heard from my people that Yuan likes music scores very much. Then why don't? You can use her new score for the fourth round. Hers? Hearing this, Qin Youjiao understood completely. This was this woman's scheme. On one hand, she was using her to suppress Yuan. Qin Youjiao clenched her fists. But didn't you say that she might succeed as the president? Could she continue to stay after offending the future president? As long as you listen to me, you'll be fine. What help? I have a friend who studies computing. Can you help him find a capable teacher? On the other hand, she wanted Wei Yuan to hate her. This way, she could only listen to her. Qin Youjiao gritted her teeth, knowing that this was her only way. I promise you, but I have a favor to ask you for. Isn't there still a week? I'll give you a new score in 3 days. Bei Yunj was standing in front of the apartment building. As soon as she picked up the call, she went straight to the point. That's not what I'm talking about this time. For the past few days, Bei Yunj had been busy with the project and didn't pay much attention to the International Musicians Association. Who knew? The next day Du Xiao personally called again. Bei Yunj, keep an eye on me? Yes, I've been investigating for 2 days and found out that someone wants to steal your new score. Be careful these days. You can send me the score a week later. Du Xiao did not forget to remind her. Also, don't put the score in the computer. Use a paper to write it down. Du Xiao's eyelids twitched. Bei Yunj, then what is it? During this period of time, I've been urging you to write the score. I didn't notice that someone had their eyes on you. I understand. Bei Yunj raised her eyebrows. She didn't expect that someone would be interested in her new song before it was even completed. After a while, she was afraid that that person would have a backup plan and simply hack into Bei Yunj's computer to steal the score. After all, she still did not know who that person was. However, he could even bribe someone from the International Musicians Association. It was obvious that that person was very powerful. She suddenly laughed. Elder Du, I have something to trouble you with. What is it? Bei Yunj said. Can you continue investigating this for me? Don't worry. Even if you don't say anything, I'll investigate this. After all, you're a member of the International Musicians Association now. Hearing Du Xiao say this, Bei Yunj nodded. Chapter 409. Thank you, Elder Du. Du Xiao smiled. I've found out. What do you plan to do? Bei Yunj's eyes curved and her casual tone carried a hint of playfulness. Since someone misses me so much, of course I have to return the favor. Not long after hanging up the phone, a voice sounded from the elevator. Guor, why are you here? Director Lin had just come downstairs. When she saw Bei Yunj downstairs, her heart ached as she tugged at her. However, her tone was gentle as she scolded. The weather is so hot. What are you doing downstairs? I'm free today, so I wanted to accompany you. Bei Yunj's red lips curled up. She didn't know if Director Lin had woken up at this time, so she waited downstairs. She thought that Director Lin would also go to buy groceries in the morning. I think you're trying to anger me to death. What if you get a heat stroke on such a hot day? The old lady wiped Bei Yunj's sweat with heartache and continued to nag. Even if you miss Grandma, you shouldn't wait downstairs. Can't you just call Grandma? It's okay. I'm also happy to wait for Grandma downstairs. Bei Yunj's eyes were too beautiful. When she smiled, the old lady's heart melted. This is the key. Go upstairs and watch TV for a while. Grandma will go buy groceries and come back to cook something delicious for you. Director Lin had always wanted to see Bei Yunj, but she was afraid that Bei Yunj would be bored if she accompanied an old lady like her. Therefore, Director Lin rarely called Bei Yunj. However, this time, Director Lin was already overjoyed that Bei Yunj took the initiative to look for her. Grandma, I'll accompany you to the market. Bei Yunj didn't wait for Director Lin to refuse and held her arm as they walked out. However, she didn't expect, suddenly, there was the sound of high heels clicking on the ground behind them. A figure almost knocked Director Lin down. Delicacies. Fortunately, Bei Yunj was holding on to Director Lin's arm. A trace of coldness flashed past Bei Yunj's eyes as she looked up at the young woman in a suit. But before she could speak, Director Lin hurriedly grabbed her hand. Guor, this little girl is opposite of mine. She was probably in a hurry because she was going to be late. It doesn't matter. Bei Yunj restrained the coldness in his eyes and said lightly. Yes, Grandma, let's go shopping. All right. In the wet market. Watching Director Lin buy groceries, Bei Yunj couldn't say anything. She could only help Director Lin carry the groceries. As she lazily held her phone, she opened her contact list and found the person in charge of Director Lin's community. Hello, Is there a woman in her 20s or 30s living in my grandmother's apartment? Very soon. The person in charge, Little Li replied. Xiao Li, yes, the resident of 401 He Maching, is the only 26 to 27-year-old woman. Seeing this, Bei Yunj typed another paragraph. Yes, ask her to move out this week. She doesn't have to pay this month's rent. Seeing this message, the person in charge, Xiao Li, seemed to be shocked for a while before he replied. Okay. This condominium was actually under Bei Yunj's name. However, the condominium that Bei Yunj bought in the beginning was another personal condominium in this community. However, Director Lin felt that it was too big, so Bei Yunj had no choice but to buy a smaller multi-unit condominium. He chose the most comfortable one for Director Lin to live in. As for the rest, he asked the person in charge to help him rent. After all, Bei Yunj bought the entire condominium to make it easier for Director Lin to choose a neighbor. Suddenly, the auntie's voice sounded. Chapter 410. Thank you. When Director Lin heard this, she beamed with joy. Unexpectedly, the auntie became enthusiastic again. How old is your daughter? Do you have a boyfriend? Actually, I have a good nephew. Although he's a little short, he works in a foreign company. He earns tens of thousands a month. When Director Lin heard this, the smile on her face gradually disappeared. There's no need. After saying that, Director Lin wanted to leave, but the auntie stopped her. Your daughter is good-looking, but she still needs to find a rich man to be her boyfriend. In this day and age, looks can be fake but money isn't. The auntie knew Director Lin, and knew that she lived in the high-end neighborhood next door. However, her nephew had bought a small villa nearby, and even had a car worth 3 to 4 million yuan. Therefore, if this young lady could be with her nephew, it would be her blessing. My daughter doesn't lack money. Director Lin's expression didn't look too good, but she had a gentle personality and didn't know how to argue. If she doesn't lack money, why would she let you come to this place to buy groceries? When the auntie heard this, disdain appeared in her eyes and she sized up Director Lin. After sizing her up, she started to suspect that Director Lin lived in a high-end neighborhood because she didn't have money and wanted to save face. At this moment, Bei Yunja's hand paused and she looked up at her unhurriedly. My daughter, do you think money is important? Bei Yunja's smile didn't reach her eyes. She lazily put her phone back into her pocket and said, It's important. When the auntie heard this, she felt that this young lady was more sensible. She looked a little smug. Isn't that so? Young lady, tell me what kind of boyfriend you want. Find someone who's not very poor. Before the auntie could be happy, she heard Bei Yunj say slowly. In his 20s, pleasing to the eye, and has a few 100 million yuan in assets. That's fine too. Her tone sounded quite forced. 85. When the auntie heard this, her expression changed. She felt that Bei Yunj was deliberately playing with her. A few 100 million yuan in assets? The auntie's face darkened and she sneered sarcastically. Who did this little girl think she was? She wanted to find someone with a few 100 million yuan in assets? How could he like her? Why, doesn't your nephew have one? Bei Yunj's bright eyes revealed a hint of laziness and disdain. After that, Bei Yunj pulled Director Lin and left. Only the auntie was left behind. She was so angry that she was about to ascend to heaven. Does this little girl really think that she can eat just because she's pretty? How could someone with a few 100 million yuan like her? Not long after, another middle-aged woman who had witnessed all this carefully tugged at her sleeve. I was just joking with you. How can you joke like this? The middle-aged woman was so angry that she laughed. She had introduced them out of goodwill. Yet she had been ridiculed by this little girl? The middle-aged woman was silent for a moment and looked at her again. Xiuhe, do you not know Principal Lin? Last time, my grandson told me that the elder sister is the former dean of Yunqing University, and the daughter next to her is the daughter of the Qin Group. With that, she added, the Qin Corporation with a market value of hundreds of millions. As soon as he finished speaking, the middle-aged woman, who had been scolding just now, suddenly trembled and her legs almost went weak. What did you say? The middle-aged woman who knew the truth said frankly, if someone with a few 100 million yuan in assets can be liked by the young lady of the Qin family, I'm afraid he has to marry into her family. The people around who heard this also fell silent. Chapter 411. Bei Yunj accompanied Director Lin for half an hour. Just as she was about to return to the apartment, she suddenly received a call. It was from Sing Su. Miss Pei. Bei Yunj asked, "What's wrong? Is brother looking for me for something urgent?" Sung Su was silent for a moment, as if he was organizing his words. Then Bei Yunj heard Sung Su say, "Miss Pei, it's like this. Your eldest brother, second brother, and third brother have all asked someone to send something over. However, it seems to be very expensive and needs you to check it." Hearing this, Bei Yunj suddenly remembered the key Qin Lian had given her last time. He had sent the safe to the Hua Corporation? Then what did Qin Yu and Qin Lang send her? Bei Yunj's eyes twitched. "Okay, then I'll come over in the afternoon." "Okay, sorry to trouble you, Miss Pei. Master Du isn't around today. Otherwise, it would be the same if he signed for it. I'm having a meeting at the branch office too. I don't know if I can go back in the afternoon." "It's all right. Thank you for your hard work." Bei Yunj smirked. After hanging up, Director Lin could not help asking, "Gur, you're leaving in the afternoon? What time are you leaving?" I'm going to the Hua Corporation to sign a package." Bei Yunj nodded. Director Lin hid the dimness in her eyes and smiled quickly. "Okay, then Grandma will cook early." Bei Yunj looked at Director Lin. On the way, she suddenly asked, "Grandma, are you free in the afternoon?" Director Lin turned around. "Yes, why? Then do you have time to accompany me to the company to sign for a package? After signing it, we'll go shopping." Bei Yunj said with a smile, but her eyes swept past Director Lin's sleeves that had turned white from washing. Hearing this, Director Lin's eyes lit up. "Sure, Grandma will go to the mall to buy you some food. I'll leave it at home." "Okay." Bei Yunj chuckled and opened the umbrella naturally to shield Director Lin from the sun. In the afternoon, at the Hua Corporation. "Ma Qing, Manager Qian dotes on you too much. He didn't even scold you when you were late." Two women were chatting at the desk. "So what if you don't reprimand me? The Hua Corporation has a fingerprint card. If I'm late 3 times a month, my entire monthly salary will be automatically deducted." The woman said coquettishly, "If you're late 5 times in 3 months, you'll be fired." "You're still afraid of being fired? Your family is so rich. You carry bags that are worth tens of thousands, and wear branded clothes." The short-haired woman was envious. "By the way, where do you live?" Hearing this, Ma Qing's smile froze. "My house is quite far away. The neighborhood is usually very strict, so I can't bring anyone there." Unexpectedly, when the woman heard this, her expression became even more envious. "It's a detached villa, right? I heard that some residential areas are especially luxurious and don't allow people to bring people in." Ma Qing smiled and patted her. "How did you know?" Although Ma Qing did not point it out, in the eyes of others, Ma Qing admitted the fact that she lived in a villa. Seeing this, many people felt envious. However, in the whole corporation, there were many people who could afford to live in villas. However, most of them were employees on the 3rd floor and above. Not long after, a clear female voice rang out. "Sister Shu, someone is looking for you. He said he's here to get a package." At this moment, the people on the 2nd floor were stunned. Coming to the Hua Corporation to get a package. What was going on? Wasn't it clearly stated that other than office supplies, no one was allowed to send anything to the company? Sister Shu doesn't seem to be around. Why don't you let that person wait outside? Chapter 412. Sister Shu doesn't seem to be around. Why don't you let that person wait outside? Hearing this, that person was stunned. Then I'll bring her to the VIP room? Ma Qing sneered. CEO Hong is in the VIP room. Can you take responsibility for offending him? Just get her to wait downstairs. This isn't too good. After all, she's here to look for Sister Shu. The woman with the bra was a little reserved. Ma Qing glanced at her with a hint of disdain and sarcasm in her eyes. Her face was full of superiority. Jejia, you have to work hard too. A year ago, we were in the same batch of interns. Now you're still the most marginal person on the 2nd floor. You might as well go home and sell fish for your mother. With that, Jiejia's face turned red and pale, but the others either laughed at her or buried themselves in their work and pretended not to hear. Everyone knew that Jiejia's family was not well off, and she relied on her mother to sell fish to support her family. As for He Maching, she was wearing branded clothes and was still living in a villa. The difference in social status between the two of them was huge. I'll go and deliver tea to CEO Hong. Before Jiejia could leave, He Maching called out to her condescendingly. Wait. Jiejia stopped in her tracks and did not dare to turn back. At this moment, He Maching walked towards her and smiled softly. I'm afraid you can't take care of CEO Hong. Let me send him off. As for the one who came to get the parcel, tell her not to go upstairs. Who knows if her hands and feet are clean? With that said, He Maching smiled and left confidently. When Jiejia left with an ugly expression, she bumped into He Maching touching up her makeup at the corner of the long corridor. On the second floor, He Maching was indeed one of the prettiest. Jiejia pursed her lips, adjusted her black-rimmed glasses, and went downstairs silently. She asked the front desk and found the young lady who was holding the parcel. 7 questions, miss. May I know who you are? Halfway through Jiejia's sentence, Bei Yunj turned around. Her bright and beautiful face made one instantly dazed. However, there was no warmth in her beautiful eyes. After Jiejia came back to her senses, she immediately continued. You're Miss Pei who's here to collect the parcel, right? Bei Yunj replied. Yes. At this moment, Jiejia felt that she had heard the surname Pei somewhere before. Yet he couldn't remember. Jiejia glanced at Bei Yunj and bowed seriously to Bei Yunj. I'm sorry, Miss Pei. Sister Shu isn't here. I might have to trouble you to wait here. While you're waiting, I'll be here with you. Is that okay? Hearing this, Pei Yunj glanced at Director Lin unconsciously. She asked, how long will it take? If Sister Shu wants to have a meeting, it will take at least 20 minutes and at most 40 minutes. Then can I go upstairs? Bei Yunj asked. Previously, when she came to the Hua Corporation, Sung Su had personally come down to pick her up. She had also used the exclusive elevator. This time, he did not expect that things would become so troublesome when Sung Su was not around. I may not have the right to do so, Jiejia said awkwardly. Supervisor Qian hated her to begin with. If Supervisor Qian used this as an excuse to make a fuss, she might be fired. If she were to resign, how would the family be able to handle it? Bei Yunj could tell that Jiejia was in a difficult position, so she did not insist. Instead, she sent Sing Su a message. But after a few minutes, the message was like a stone sinking into the sea. There was no reply. Chapter 413. Then I'll think of a way. Jiejia's face inexplicably heated up. Then her eyes lit up and she whispered to Bei Yunj. Miss Pei, my work desk is on the 2nd floor. Why don't you and your grandmother come to my place first? Anyway, her work desk was at the edge and no one usually paid attention to it. Bei Yunj looked at the honest girl in front of her and couldn't help but chuckle. She smiled and her eyes seemed to light up. Okay, thank you, sister. However, when she went upstairs, Jiejia realized that something was wrong. Had she seen this lady's grandmother somewhere before? Jiejia couldn't help but ponder, but she didn't expect to see He Maching holding on to President Hong, who was in his 50s or 60s. Instantly, Jiejia was stunned. When He Maching saw Jiejia, her face almost distorted. She instinctively let go of President Hong's hand. What are you doing here? He Maching's face darkened as she questioned. I brought a guest. Panic flashed across Jiejia's eyes and she lowered her head guiltily. As for He Maching, her face darkened. She didn't expect Jiejia to dare to go against her. Before she could speak, she looked up and saw Director Lin. She instantly panicked. Why is that old fart next door here? No. She couldn't let these two people stay in the whole corporation. What if this old fart spouted nonsense in the company and told others that she only lived in a high-end apartment? What should she do? Director Lin also recognized He Maching and a smile appeared on her face. Isn't this he? Don't talk to me. Do I know you? He Maching interrupted her sternly, but she didn't notice that Bei Yunj's gaze had turned cold. Director Lin had always been easy to talk to, but after being stabbed, The smile on her face froze. Quick reading network. Jiejia, are you in cahoots with them? Himaching's sarcastic tone attracted the attention of many people because her voice wasn't soft. What nonsense are you talking about? Jiejia's face turned pale. I'm talking nonsense? Don't tell me she's your old mother, the one who sells fish? What about this woman? With that, Himaching sneered. Just as she was about to turn her head and continue mocking him, she unexpectedly bumped into a pair of cold eyes with a faint smile. For a moment, his scalp went numb. Who was this girl? After regaining her senses, the first thing Himaching noticed was Bei Yunji's impeccable face. Then, she looked at Bei Yunji's clothes. There was no logo, and it didn't look like a brand new product. She was indeed just a good-looking little girl. This young lady is, suddenly CEO Hong, who had been silent all this while, spoke. Himaching turned around and saw CEO Hong staring at Bei Yunji. His eyes were filled with lust. Immediately, jealousy and hatred welled up in his heart. CEO Hong, who knows if the people outside are clean? Let's go back. Changing the topic, Himaching looked at Jiejia arrogantly. Wang Jia, you'd better take her down now. Otherwise, I'll make you pack your things and scram this month. After saying this, Wang Jiagong's face paled. Suddenly, a faint sneer sounded behind him. What are you laughing at? Grandma, let's go to the third floor. The barking on the second floor is quite scary. Bei Yunji's lazy voice was arrogant and presumptuous as it sounded unhurriedly. But after saying that, Himaching's face darkened. What did you say? Chapter 4:14. As soon as she finished speaking, many people's inquisitive gazes landed on the three of them. Director Lin instinctively frowned and wanted to protect Bei Yunji behind her. Who knew? Bei Yunji suddenly laughed and asked in a lazy tone. Why, Miss He? Is your indenture contract hidden in the company? For a moment, the atmosphere on the field was hard to restrain. Director Lin and Wang Jili beside her were stunned. They did not expect such a beautiful girl to say that. What did you say? Do you dare to say it again? Himaching's expression changed as she gritted her teeth and looked at Bei Yunji. Grandma, let's go upstairs. Bei Yunji held Director Lin's hand as if nothing had happened and slowly pressed the elevator button for the third floor. Seeing that Bei Yunji was ignoring her, Himaching almost went crazy with anger. She gritted her teeth. Who allowed you to go upstairs? However, Bei Yunji still brought the two of them up to the third floor without changing her expression. Miss He, since you're afraid that their hands and feet are dirty, I'll go upstairs and help you keep a lookout. With that said, CEO Hong naturally entered another elevator, not giving Himaching any chance to reject him. Obviously, CEO Hong wasn't helping her keep a lookout. He had clearly taken a fancy to that woman just now. Himaching was furious and walked to Manager Qian's office with a dark face. In the VIP room on the third floor. Miss Pei, you're really amazing. Wang Jia couldn't help but praise her. She didn't dare to treat Himaching like that. Are you very afraid of her? Bei Yunji glanced at her. Wang Jia paused and handed the water she had just brought to Bei Yunji and Director Lin. After the two of them thanked her, Wang Jia said, I'm a peripheral figure in the company. Her boss likes her and her family is rich. Wang Jia forced a smile. It's inevitable that she feels inferior. Hearing this, Bei Yunji glanced at her and didn't say anything. But a few minutes later, an unfamiliar call came. It was Sister Shu, whom Sung Su had arranged for her. Miss Pei, I'm really sorry. Something happened in the marketing department. I was in a hurry to make arrangements and forgot to ask someone to pick you up outside. Bei Yunji replied lazily, It's nothing. Then have you entered the company? Are you satisfied with their hospitality? Yes, Miss Wang Jia is quite good. After saying this, Sister Shu, who was on the other end of the phone, seemed to have almost forgotten about Wang Jia. When she remembered her, she immediately laughed. Really? Jiejia is quite hardworking in the company. Find an opportunity to arrange a better job for her this year. Sung Su had a good relationship with her and had told her everything clearly. He could offend anyone but Miss Pei. You can continue with your work. Bei Yunji smiled. All right, don't worry. I'll be there in 15 minutes. However, after the call, Bei Yunj did not expect that a young man would come up to the third floor faster than her. Miss Pei, is that you? Bei Yunj replied, yes. It's like this. Your 3 boxes, I'll get someone to bring them to the third floor. After you've checked them, I'll send them back for you. Is that okay? Bei Yunj nodded. Okay, sorry to trouble you. You're welcome. It's no trouble at all. The young man instinctively lowered his head. He was a little embarrassed to look Bei Yunj in the eyes. He just smiled and touched his head. Until he left. CEO Hong returned to the VIP room. But because there were other people around, he could only talk to Bei Yunj occasionally. He seemed to be revealing how rich he was. Chapter 4:15. However, from the beginning to the end, Bei Yunj did not even look at him. The atmosphere was very awkward. Only Director Lin stared at him expressionlessly. It was as if in the next moment, the environmental bag that Director Lin was carrying could very well hit his head. At this moment, Himaching also came up aggressively with Manager Qian. Manager Qian, no matter what you say this time, you have to punish Wang Jia. Himaching attracted the attention of many other employees. Of course I will punish her. I will make Wang Jia and those 2 people scram together. Manager Qian sneered. Why didn't he know that the Hua Corporation was about to become a courier store? However, just as Manager Qian walked out of the elevator and towards the VIP room with a cold expression, an anxious voice sounded from behind. Don't walk so fast. You have to be careful with this thing, be careful. The 2 people who were carefully carrying the huge suitcase only paid attention to the suitcase in their hands and almost knocked Manager Qian to the ground. Brother, are you alright? I'm sorry. The person carrying the huge suitcase wanted to poke his head out to look at Manager Qian, but was completely blocked by the suitcase. He could only shout at the back. After apologizing, the 2 of them carried the suitcase into the VIP room. However, when Manager Qian saw this scene, he was so angry that smoke almost came out of his 7 orifices. However, before Supervisor Qian could start cursing, another 4 people came from behind, carrying 2 large safes. Everyone was stunned. What the heck? Packages are stored in safes? I almost thought that there were gold and silver treasures inside. Aha! Did you see that suitcase clearly? It's a limited edition custom-made VIO. It costs 6 to 7 million yuan. It's hard to buy it even if you have money. Do you think a normal person would use this suitcase to store packages? Hearing this, everyone understood. So it was a high-end imitation. At this moment, Manager Qian had already walked into the VIP room with a dark expression. The others were also secretly watching. CEO Hong deliberately said to Bei Yunj, it's normal for girls to like luxury goods, but it's so cheap to buy a fake one. Why don't I buy you a real one? Bei Yunj glanced at him with an impatient look in his eyes. Do you have a lot of things to do? Just as CEO Hong was about to continue speaking, his eyes met with Bei Yunj's cold gaze, and he subconsciously felt a chill run down his spine. Subsequently, before Bei Yunj could take out the keys from her pocket, she heard Himaching speak arrogantly. Manager Qian, it's this young lady who insisted on coming to the VIP room. Those who don't know better would think that she's someone from the Hua Corporation. Manager Qian's face darkened and he sneered. Miss Pei, you said that your sister Shu's guest. Do you have evidence? Hearing this, Wang Jia immediately explained. Supervisor Qian, she really is. Big Sister Shu said. Shut up. Who are you to speak here? Supervisor Qian glanced at her coldly and reprimanded her. Wang Jia's face turned red and white, but surprisingly she still insisted. No matter what, Miss Pei is indeed Big Sister Shu's guest. This package also says Miss Pei. If you chase Miss Pei out, Big Sister Shu will be angry. Seeing that Wang Jia still dared to refute him, Manager Qian felt that Wang Jia was becoming more and more daring. He sneered. Alright, then I want to see if Big Sister Shu will appear here. As soon as he finished speaking, Bei Yunj glanced at him casually and then took out a key. Are you going to stand here and watch me open the package? Chapter 4:16. Why do you have gold inside? Manager Qian's tone was sarcastic and disdainful. When Bei Yunj heard this, She glanced at him unhurriedly and did not say anything. She turned around and looked at the two safes and leather suitcases. Her eyelids twitched. Suddenly, Bei Yunj received a message. She opened it and realized that it was from Qin Lang. Qin Lang, Gugur, the password of the safe is 6 asterisk 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 asterisk. Third brother will send the key to you alone. Mu. Bei Yunj was speechless. Suddenly, Hima Cheng's sarcastic voice sounded. Why? Are you too ashamed to open the safe? Don't you dare to use Viao's imitation to store things? Bei Yunj did not look at her at all. After putting her phone back into her pocket, she thanked the 6 of them. This lazy attitude made Hima Cheng grit her teeth in anger. She wanted to see how this woman could continue pretending. Using a safe to store things, she really thought that her things were precious. The next moment, Bei Yunj identified the safe that Qin Luyan had given her, and her eyebrows twitched unconsciously. Last time, Qin Luyan had told her that this was not something precious. It was just some small accessories and materials for her to play with. Thinking of this, Bei Yunj took out the key and decided to open Qin Luyan's. Who knew, when she opened the safe door, more than 10 pearls and diamonds the size of pigeon eggs squeezed out. No one could laugh at the scene. Bei Yunj was speechless. Wang Jia was the first to react. She immediately picked up the pearls and diamonds all over the floor. They had never seen such big pearls and diamonds in their lives. Although it looked quite real, it still looked quite real. Miss Pei, your pearls and diamonds. Wang Jia placed the diamonds and pearls on the table in fear and trepidation. When the others heard this, they felt that Wang Jia was probably stupid. These pearls and diamonds were so big, did they look real? Until they saw Bei Yunj pick up a ruby necklace and stuff the pearls and diamonds from just now into it casually. Everyone could not help but feel their hearts ache. Although they knew that the jewelry was fake, their hearts still ached when they saw it being treated like this. Suddenly, a girl sighed. That ruby necklace really looks like the eye of the god of creation. What eyes? The eye of the god of creation was sold 3 years ago for 520 million. It was bought by a rich collector. This young lady's high-quality imitation is exactly the same as the real one. The more the crowd listened, the more they felt an inexplicable strange feeling. Bei Yunj's eyes were filled with impatience from the commotion, and she glanced at the restless crowd. The next moment, everyone subconsciously shut their mouths. Just sign for it. Bei Yunj was not in the mood to continue driving. Miss, please open it. The person who spoke felt his scalp go numb. If these were lost, even if the 6 of them went to the black market to sell their organs, they wouldn't be able to afford it. Bei Yunj. Not long after, Bei Yunj continued to open the suitcase. Inside were some fashionable leather bags and clothing accessories. There were about 20 to 30 of them, and they were casually stuffed into the suitcase. It looked like it was bought from a wholesale market. The people watching unconsciously heaved a sigh of relief. That's not bad. It was just a leather bag. Look at that khaki-colored one. Doesn't it look like the same style as Princess Oprah's? I heard that there are only 2 in the world. Don't say such weird things, okay? This was a high-quality imitation. Everyone hypnotized themselves. Chapter 417. But then again, why didn't they see any WeChat merchants selling such high-quality imitations? Just as everyone was struggling to figure out what was going on, a trace of doubt appeared in their hearts. Suddenly, Bei Yunj took out a bag and turned to ask, Grandma, how do you usually store food in this bag? Everyone was speechless. Alright, it was true. This is very expensive, right? Director Lin had a feeling that the things bought by the 3 young masters of the Qin family would not be cheap. It's all right. Bei Yunj said slowly. The brand of this bag seemed to be created by Jasmine's grandfather. A few times, Jasmine's father wanted to send her some, but she did not need them, so she rejected them. Okay, this looks quite waterproof. Director Lin was happy. Bei Yunj glanced at him and nodded very respectfully. Everyone was speechless. Was a high-quality imitation not worthy of being treated well? Used to store food? Suddenly, a strange light flashed across Manager Qian's eyes and he sneered. Do you know that it's illegal to produce high-quality imitation luxury goods? Even if Bei Yunj did not make it, Bei Yunj had bought so many fake goods. He could deliberately report her for illegal trafficking. Manager Qian sneered. I'll call the police now. Let's see how arrogant you can be. With that, Wang Jia immediately panicked. But before she could explain, she heard a dignified female voice. Hey, Qian Di, who do you want to call the police to arrest? As soon as she finished speaking, everyone did not even dare to join in the fun, afraid that they would be caught by the female devil. When Manager Qian heard this voice, his smile froze. Why was Sister Shu really here? Shu. Manager Qian slowly turned his head. When he saw Sister Shu, he was about to flatter her when he saw Sister Shu walk to Bei Yunj. Miss Pei, I'm really sorry to have made you wait here for so long. At this moment, everyone froze. What did Sister Shu mean? This was the VIP room. Actually, there's a lounge on the 6th floor. If Assistant Sung is not around next time, I'll take you there. Sister Shu smiled. Everyone was speechless. Only the big shots of the top management deserved to have the lounge on the 6th floor. Nothing, I just came to check on the delivery. When Sister Shu heard this, she smiled and looked at Principal Lin again, her eyes full of admiration. You must be Dean Lin Lanjun? I used to be from Yincheng University, but I didn't have the chance to meet you. In an instant, Wang Jia was stunned. Who was it? President Lin Lanjun. Wang Jia suddenly raised her head and looked at Director Lin. She suddenly remembered why this person looked so familiar. On the commendation wall of Yincheng University, wasn't this person standing next to the former principal? Not only Wang Jia, but everyone else also suspected that they were dreaming. What did Sister Shu just say? However, Sister Shu stood at the side and was still chatting with Bei Yunj. She smiled gently and said, one of these bags is in the hands of Oprah. I didn't expect that CEO Qin would buy the other one for you. He didn't buy this. He bought the things in the first safe. Qin Yu had bought these bags. So that's how it is. I forgot that the other two young masters of the Qin family also dote on you. Sister Shu laughed involuntarily. Pei Yunj's lips twitched and she opened the third box. It was a gift from Qin Lang. They were all raw stones like Hetian jade, and Dushan jade that Qin Lang liked to collect in the past, as well as a few calligraphy and paintings. And Qin Lang had asked her to take a photo with him last time. Chapter 418. Bei Yunj picked up the photo casually, and suddenly felt something hard on the back of the photo. She flipped it over instinctively. She did not expect a bank card to be pasted on the back. Then, just as Bei Yunj had yet to regain her senses, someone suddenly approached her from behind. Gur, who gave this to you? Bei Yunj turned back instinctively and saw Qin Yu's arrogant and handsome face. Then before Bei Yunj could speak, Qin Yu saw the photo and narrowed his good-looking eyes. He snorted coldly. No wonder he didn't show me what he sent. He never thought that Qin Lang would do such a thing behind his back. This card. Before Bei Yunj could finish speaking, Qin Yu seemed to know what Bei Yunj was thinking. This card seems to be the bonus and salary that Qin Lang has saved up from competitions over the years. After Qin Yu finished explaining, he specially explained, actually it's not much. Second brother has saved more than him. Bei Yunj was speechless. She really could not understand what these three people were trying to do. At this moment, when the people not far away saw this scene, they felt like they were in a dream. This was Qin Yu. It was their first time seeing Qin Yu coax this young lady like this. F***ck, did you hear that? Did Qin Yu call himself second brother just now? He even said that Qin Lang gave him that card. Someone suddenly regained their senses. Everyone was speechless. They weren't deaf, okay? Then this is Bei Yunj, who was on the trending searches previously, right? The person beside her is Director Lin Lanjun. Everyone was speechless. They had been so focused on Qin Yu's face that they had forgotten such important information. In the electronic library, the elder young lady of the Qin family? F***ck, she's so good-looking. Instantly, everyone could not help but be shocked. This face is too good-looking. I'm willing to exchange 10 lifetimes of my IQ for her looks. Boo-hoo. The boy beside her muttered softly. First of all, you have to have IQ. The round-faced girl gave the boy who spoke a death smile. The boy. Did women nowadays not like to hear the truth? At this moment, many people couldn't help but look at Bei Yunj curiously after learning of her identity. After all, this was the real young miss of the Qin family. However, He Ma-ching, Manager Qian, and CEO Hong's expressions were especially stiff. She was actually the eldest daughter of the Qin family. Especially He Ma-ching, who had suddenly found out about Bei Yunj's identity. She was afraid and jealous. Why did Bei Yunj have such a good life? She was born a rich heiress and was doted on by 3 older brothers? What about her? In order not to let others look down on her, she gritted her teeth and moved into a high-end apartment. In order to buy branded clothes, she had to please the supervisor and seduce the greasy boss of the company. He Ma-ching could not help but clench her fists and look at Bei Yunj sinisterly. Who knew? Suddenly Sister Shu turned around and met He Ma-ching's eyes. He Ma-ching was shocked. Seeing this, Sister Shu curled her lips coldly and looked at Supervisor Qian first. Supervisor Qian, why did you call the police to arrest Miss Pei just now? Tell me clearly. With that said, Supervisor Qian felt a cold gaze appear in Qin Yu's eyes and it landed on him. He was so scared that his legs almost went weak. This is a misunderstanding, Sister Shu. Chapter 419. These words made Qin Yu laugh. However, his handsome and noble face was covered in coldness and his tone was exceptionally dangerous. You dare to arrest my sister and take her to the police station just because of a misunderstanding? No. Manager Qian's face paled and a chill ran down his spine. No. Then tell me, what did the elder young miss of the Qin family do that you want to send her to the police station? Qin Yu looked at him, but his smile did not reach his eyes. His gaze was clearly saying, if you don't give me an explanation today, I'll let you say goodbye to this beautiful world. I was really wrong, Mr. Qin. Manager Qian wanted to cry. How could he have known that this was actually the elder young miss of the Qin family? But now, he had been instigated by someone else and thought that the dozens of bags Bei Yunj had gotten must be high-quality imitations. Before Manager Qian could push the blame away, he heard Sister Shu say, Mr. Qin, I think I vaguely heard Manager Qian say that Miss Pei's bags are fake. He wants to report Miss Pei for selling imitation luxury goods. With that said, Manager Qian's legs almost turned to jelly, and he almost didn't dare to breathe under Qin Yu's murderous gaze. You're really good. Is the bag I gave you fake? Qin Yu snorted and asked coldly. Everyone was shocked when they heard this. Did Qin Yu buy this? Didn't Qin Yu say back then that this kind of fancy branded bag was the most worthless thing? Then what was he doing now? Buying limited edition bags wholesale for his sister. Haha. Indeed, one could not believe a word this D*MN man said. Mr. Qin, no. How can what you bought be fake? Manager Qian was afraid of offending Qin Yu and immediately found a scapegoat. It's her. He Ma-ching told me. Manager Qian turned around and slapped He Ma-ching, almost slapping her to the ground. He said fiercely, B*TCH. Are you trying to harm me on purpose? You were the one who told me that Miss Pei's grandmother lives next door to you. You even said that Miss Pei's grandmother doesn't look like a good person and looks poor. Hearing this, the others felt that something was wrong. Doesn't He Ma-ching live in a villa? Principal Lin lives next door to her? Someone couldn't help but ask. Manager Qian, who felt that he had been used by He Ma-ching, sneered. Her? Live in a villa? How many more men does she have to sleep with before she can fulfill this wish? Qian Di. He Ma-ching's tone was sharp. She didn't expect Manager Qian to fall out with her in public. Bitch, did I say something wrong? Can you afford the branded clothes you're wearing? Manager Qian's tone was disdainful. As for the others, when they heard this explosive gossip, they couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. So He Ma-ching wasn't a rich young lady? To think that all these branded clothes were obtained in this way. Instantly, the way everyone looked at He Ma-ching changed. He Ma-ching could not stand everyone's strange gazes and could not help but scream. She flew into a rage out of humiliation and went up to grab Manager Qian's face. After Supervisor Qian was scratched, he became even angrier. He grabbed He Ma-ching's hair and slammed it against the table. Everyone was dumbfounded by this scene. Then, the boys came back to their senses and immediately went forward to pull Supervisor Qian away. "You be *tch, how dare you catch me? If it wasn't for me, would you have King stayed in the whole corporation?" After Manager Qian felt the burning pain on his face, he cursed even more. Chapter 420. This be *tch. If it wasn't for his support, would she be able to stay in the whole corporation? She actually dared to lay a hand on him. The more Manager Qian thought about it, the angrier he became. He laughed coldly. "He Maching, you're a bus that anyone can get on. Why are you still pretending to be a rich young lady? Why don't you see if you're worthy? You said that Wang Jia smells like fish, but what about you? Your father is just a stall seller. How dare you talk about others?" Qian Di. He Maching's facade was exposed and she immediately screamed in despair. In the next moment, seeing Qian Di's ugly expression, a ferocious look flashed past He Maching's face and she laughed out loud again. "Qian Di, who are you? Didn't you sleep with me back then? When your wife was pregnant, didn't you do it with me? You wanted to destroy her? Alright. Then go to hell with her." He Maching's eyes were filled with hatred and madness. Instantly, the people around widened their eyes. They did not expect such a thing to happen. No wonder Manager Qian treated He Maching so well usually. So these two people had such a relationship behind the scenes. Manager Qian's expression froze. He did not expect He Maching to dare to say this. This woman was crazy. She was really crazy. "Manager Qian, it seems like you're very happy to be in this position." At this moment, Sister Shu laughed. "Sister Shu, no, she seduced me on purpose. Don't listen to this *tch. Before Manager Qian could finish speaking, he heard Sister Shu say coldly, "The company has a clear rule that you can't have any transactions with your subordinates or superiors. This is one of the reasons. Secondly, it's my first time hearing that you want to send an important guest of the company to the police station. Manager Qian, you're really something." "No, Sister Shu, believe me. I really didn't know Miss Pei's identity. Who would have known that an important guest was only coming to the company to get a package? Who would have known that this package was not an ordinary package?" "You don't know Miss Pei's identity? Miss Pei has an appointment, so she's my guest. So you want to target my guest?" In an instant, Manager Qian's face was pale, and he was at a loss for words. He knew that he would definitely be implicated if he offended the elder young miss of the Qin family this time, and Qin Yu found out. But now, Sister Shu's attitude was that she wanted to dismiss him. "Today, you and He Maching will pack your things and leave. Oh right, Wang Jia can be considered a veteran. Her performance has always been good. She will take over the position of the supervisor in the future," Elder Sister Shu said expressionlessly. However, regardless of whether it was the first sentence or the second sentence, they both caused the crowd to boil over. Manager Qian had so many connections in the company. How could Sister Shu chase him away just like that? This new replacement was the most marginal person on the second floor. At first, everyone didn't understand. Then, they suddenly realized that the only person who had been speaking up for Miss Pei and Director Lin was Wang Jia. What kind of luck did Wang Jia have? The moment Manager Qian stepped down, she became the person with the highest position on the second floor? At this moment, Wang Jia also felt like she was in a dream. She had just been scolded by Supervisor Qian, and now she had replaced Supervisor Qian's position. After regaining her senses, Wang Jia immediately said excitedly, Thank you, Sister Shu. I'll do my best." "Why are you thanking me?" Sister Shu smiled and glanced at Bei Yunj. In the end, she did not say anything. Chapter 421. How could this be? How could Sister Shu fire him? It wasn't just Manager Qian. He Maching, who was beside him, also looked like she was having a mental breakdown. Her expression looked like she was crying and laughing at the same time. How could this be? How could the old thing living next door be the former dean of Yunqing University that they were talking about? Since this girl was the eldest daughter of the Qin family, why did she only let this old thing live in a high-end district? Then, before He Maching could regain her senses, her phone kept ringing. When she took it out to take a look, she realized that the person who had been calling her was Xiaoli, the person in charge of the district. He Maching didn't want to offend him, so she immediately picked up the call. However, she didn't expect to hear Xiaoli say coldly, "Miss He, I'm sorry. I'll have to trouble you to move next week." What? What do you mean? Why should I move? You don't meet the conditions for our apartment, so you have to move. Xiaoli put on a fake smile. Miss, you know very well that the best apartment in our district is the one you live in. But the price we offered you isn't high either. Because you're not the one picking the apartment, but the apartment picking the person. The last sentence seemed to have a deeper meaning. When He Maching thought about how she had just been fired by the Hua Corporation and was now forced to move, resentment and anger rose in her heart. It's you. You did it. He Maching turned around and gritted her teeth as she looked at Bai Yunj. How dare you treat me like this? Why wouldn't I dare? Bai Yunj sneered. His lazy eyes were indescribably arrogant as he asked unhurriedly. He Maching didn't expect that with so many people around, Bai Yunj would dare to admit it directly. You'll get retribution. Just because you don't like me, you're deliberately taking revenge on me? Miss He, you're thinking too much. I'm thinking too much? Then why should I move out? Hearing this, Bai Yunj looked up unhurriedly. After looking at her for a while, he asked with a faint smile, "Why should I rent the house under my name to you?" As soon as he finished speaking, at first everyone didn't understand, but then they had a bold guess. Could it be that the eldest miss of the Qin family bought her house by building? Everyone froze, and He Maching's face turned pale. "Gur, you bought an entire floor?" Director Lin turned around and couldn't help but ask. Bai Yunj. One. Director Lin. Everyone. The world of the rich was unimaginable. Why are you buying one? Director Lin had always advocated frugality, which was the same as most of the intellectuals of that era. All corrupt practices were strictly prohibited. Last time, the former principal of Yin University was so angry that he punished his grandson for buying shoes that cost hundreds of thousands of yuan. After her daughter recovered, she bought the entire building. Bai Yunj could tell that Director Lin was unhappy. She immediately held Director Lin's hand. Her beautiful eyes were exceptionally clear. "There's a discount, Grandma." Everyone. It turned out that rich people also like to buy things on sale. In hindsight, everyone's gaze unconsciously landed on the 3 chests. So this was really a box of jewelry, a box of branded bags, and a box of jade antiques. My legs are going to go weak. The pearl that just rolled out is actually real. Whoa, such a big pearl. It was poverty that limited her imagination. How could there be such a big pearl and diamond in this world? Chapter 422. Don't you think we should pay more attention to that eye of the God of creation? 2 years ago, it was sold for hundreds of millions. Even now, it would be doubled. When everyone thought of how Bai Yunj had casually stuffed the eye of the God of creation back into the safe just now, their hearts skipped a beat. Did this woman have a heart of stone? Was such a rare piece of jewelry not worthy of her gentleness? The female staff present looked at Bai Yunj and started to wonder if she had saved the world in her previous life, or had she made a huge contribution to human society? Otherwise, why was she so lucky? She was a rich young lady and had 3 male idols. After dealing with these 3 boxes, the others left. He Maching and Manager Qian were also taken away by Sister Shu. Why are you here? Bai Yunj looked up at Qin Yu and asked. Gu, or aren't you going back to the old mansion today? Second brother will accompany you to get your things. Qin Yu could not suppress the smile on his lips, and he became even happier. He had finally waited for this day. Hearing this, Bai Yunj's eyes darkened and she remembered that Hoshidu had mentioned this to her last time. Bai Yunj hid the strange look in her eyes. I want to go to the mall with Grandma first before sending her back. That's good. Second brother drove here. Can second brother send Grandma Lin back? Qin Yu's dark eyes were bright as he looked at Bai Yunj pitifully. Bai Yunj pursed her red lips unconsciously. However, before Bai Yunj could speak, she heard Director Lin say with a smile. Okay. If you have the chance in the future, Mr. Qin can come and visit me. Grandma Lin, if you agree, why don't you call me you? When my grandmother was still alive, she liked to call me that too. Qinyu turned to look at Director Lin and said with a smile. Good child, good. Director Lin nodded and grabbed Qinyu's hand with a smile. Instead, she let go of Bei Yunj. Bei Yunj turned to look at Director Lin instinctively. You is so handsome. If he were my grandson, I'd be happy to, Director Lin said with a smile. If you're willing, I can do that. After all, you're the one who raised Ge. You're the benefactor of our Qin family. Qinyu was good-looking to begin with, and when he smiled, it was impossible for people to dislike him. Principal Lin smiled and shook his head. To be honest, she was unwilling to return Gu'er to the Qin family. Luckily, the Qin family treated Gu'er very well. On the way, Bei Yunj followed by the side without a word, listening to Director Lin and Qinyu chat. Until they arrived at the mall, Bei Yunj took Director Lin to a clothing store and picked out many sets of clothes for Director Lin to try. Once she thought that it was not bad, Bei Yunj would buy all of them. She was so fast that Qinyu, who was beside her, did not even have time to pay to leave a good impression. After coming out, Director Lin looked at the 4 big paper bags that were stuffed to the brim. She immediately grabbed Bei Yunj's hand and wanted to leave as soon as possible. She didn't dare to shop anymore. Bei Yunj found an excuse to go to the restroom in the shopping mall. At this moment, Director Lin turned around and saw Qinyu, whose face was covered tightly, holding a card in his hand. However, he did not have the time to take it out from the beginning to the end. Director Lin laughed. Did you make Gu'er angry before? Hearing this, Qinyu was stunned for a moment before his dark eyes gradually darkened. He gripped the card in his hand tightly unconsciously, and a word rolled out of his throat with difficulty. Chapter 423. It's okay. Gu'er is easy to coax. She'll forgive you. Director Lin smiled. How could she not tell that this big boy was really good to Bei Yunj? However, when Qinyu heard this, his throat tightened and he lowered his head even more. There was an imperceptible bitter smile in his voice. But I've done something unforgivable. It made him want to kill himself back then. Qinyu pulled down the brim of his hat, and the redness in his eyes could not be seen clearly. However, his voice was a little hoarse. He laughed helplessly. It doesn't matter if you forgive me or not. It's okay. I'll treat Gu'er well for the rest of my life. What right did he have to get Gu'er's forgiveness? Director Lin was stunned for a moment before she smiled helplessly. Her turbid eyes seemed to be able to see through everything. Director Lin patted Qinyu's shoulder and helped him adjust his sleeves. She was kind and gentle. You is actually a good child, right? It was not the first time Director Lin had seen Qinyu. On the contrary, Qinyu had looked for her many times, wanting to support Gu'er. Take good care of Gu'er for Grandma, okay? Director Lin and Qinyu sat in the resting area at the side. Qinyu heard Director Lin say with a helpless smile. In the past, Gu'er was gloomy and looked very lonely. Now Gu'er looks very good, but her eyes make me feel that she's very lonely. But how many more years can I look forward to? How can I take care of her forever? In the past, she was afraid that if she passed away, no one would take care of Gu'er. Now that she saw that so many people doted on her, she was relieved. Grandma will definitely live to be 100 years old. With that said, Qinyu added, in Gu'er's heart, no one can replace your position in her heart. When Bei Yunj returned, Director Lin watched as she brought over 4 big bags of things. Unlike her usual self, she did not complain that Bei Yunj had bought too much. Instead, she took the paper bag from Bei Yunj's hand and handed it to Qinyu. She asked Qinyu to hold it for her. This made Bei Yunj look at Qinyu unconsciously. Electronic bookstore. After a moment of silence, she said, thank you. Gu'er, you have to be polite to your elders, Director Lin reminded her with a smile. Bei Yunj glanced at Qinyu and was silent for a while. Thank you, second brother. As soon as he finished speaking, Qinyu froze. What did he hear? Did Gu'er just call him second brother? I am fine. Qinyu took a deep breath unconsciously and suppressed his excitement. Bei Yunj also nodded very affectionately, before she picked up the other bags and left. Along the way, Qinyu called out to Gu'er even more frequently, his face like a spring breeze. While waiting for the traffic light, he took out his phone out of boredom. Suddenly he remembered the group chat. Bei Yun's parents. Qinyu, just now, I heard the words I wanted to hear the most in my life. Qinyu, I really want to share my happiness with all of you at all members. Qinlang, are you crazy? Qinlian, homeroom teacher. Slowly typing a question mark. JPG. Qinyu, I'm sorry teacher Hawen. I forgot you were here too. Kiss, kiss. The homeroom teacher of class 7, who was preparing for class at home, could not help but feel his eyelids twitch. He really knew too much in this group. If others knew how the 3 young masters of the Qin family were jealous of their younger sister in the group, they would probably make the headlines. Chapter 424. The moment teacher Wen sent this, Qinyu's message popped up again. Qinyu, Guo said thank you to me just now. Qinlang, you don't have to thank me if you're close, understand? Grin. Qinyu. She even called me second brother, instantly. The entire group fell silent. Teacher Wen, who had been watching the screen, also felt his eyelids twitch. He did not expect the Qin family to be so obsessed with their sister. Could Bei Yun's second brother be exchanged for gold? Did he have to show it off? Just as Teacher Wen felt that it was ridiculous, the atmosphere in the group became even worse. Qinlang, smile, 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 smile. Qinyu, red packet congratulations. Qinyu, red packet congratulations. Qinyu, red packet congratulations. This rain of red packets made Qinlang, who was sitting in the club, so angry that he almost fumed. He knew that this B** starred was up to no good. He said that he had an event today, and could not return to the old mansion to make him lower his guard. In the end he went to look for Guo behind his back. Was there anything more inhumane than Qinyu? Brother Lang, what's wrong? A member of the club beside him asked carefully. I'm fine. Taking a deep breath, Qinlang slammed his phone on the table and continued training. This scene caused the surrounding members to be confused and frightened. The small group was also asking. Member 1. What's wrong with Brother Lang? Is his ex-girlfriend pregnant? Member 2. Stop talking nonsense. Brother Lang is a virgin. Where did his ex-girlfriend come from? Member 1. Then look at his expression. It looks like his girlfriend was stolen. What's going on? Member 3. Have you forgotten that other than girlfriends, there's another creature that can turn a homebody into a fighter? Member 3. Biological sister. Brother Lang's biological sister. Member 1. The truth is out. Last time, I saw that Brother Lang's sister was very pretty online, and wanted to contact her. In the end, Brother Lang made me clean the toilet for half a month and said that he wanted me to wake up. Member 2+1. Biological sisters might not be treasured by others, but those who look like little fairies definitely will. I wonder if Brother Lang's sister will come for the friendly match. Member 3. Don't let your imagination run wild. If you take one more look at Brother Lang's sister, Brother Lang will let you cut the queue and reincarnate. After sending Director Lin back, Qinyu drove Bei Yun back to Huashida's place to get her luggage. Miss Pei, this is... Auntie Miao had just finished cooking. The moment she came out, she saw Qinyu helping Bei Yun bring her luggage home. I went home to accompany my grandfather. Upon hearing Bei Yun's words, Auntie Miao's eyes were filled with reluctance. Is Miss Pei coming back? How can I trouble Master Do to take care of my Gu'er? Qinyu smiled. Gu'er is the eldest young lady of our Qin family. Of course we will take good care of her. Aunt Miao, take good care of yourself too. I'm done tidying up. Bei Yun was holding a notebook, and the rest were placed in the box. The other things were not brought by her either. He didn't take it away. Aren't you going to have a meal before leaving? Auntie Miao looked like her daughter was about to leave, her expression full of reluctance. No need. The old mansion has already prepared dinner. The old master is waiting for Gu'er at home. With that said with a smile, Qinyu thanked Auntie Miao. Seeing how reluctant Auntie Miao was to part with her, he could tell that Auntie Miao must have taken good care of Gu'er, usually. Seeing this, Auntie Miao stopped trying to dissuade him, and could only watch helplessly as Qinyu drove back to the old mansion. P.S. Be good and remember to vote. Chapter 425. About half an hour later, Huashidu returned, only to find that Auntie Meow had just heated up dinner in the living room. Mr. Hui, you're back. Coincidentally, the food is hot. Auntie Meow smiled. Where's Yunyan? Huashida's well-defined hands pulled off his tie casually. Then he looked down and unbuttoned his sleeves. Huh. Miss Pei returned to the old mansion today. Did you forget? Auntie Meow was stunned for a moment before she answered. Hearing Auntie Meow say this, Huashidu finally remembered that old Master Qin had asked him to tell Yunyan last time. He would let Yunyan stay at the old mansion for a week or two first. After old Master Qin's birthday banquet, he would fetch Yunyan back. After Huashidu regained his senses, he said, Yunyan has been staying at the Qin family's old mansion for the past 2 weeks. Auntie Meow, you can rest for a while. 2 weeks? From what second young Master Qin said, Miss Pei doesn't seem to be coming back. Auntie Meow muttered softly. These words made Huashidu, who was about to go upstairs, stop in his tracks. Not coming back? Huashida's low and calm voice was a little ambiguous. Who said that? Second young Master Qin. Miss Pei stood at the side and didn't say anything. She probably thinks so. Auntie Meow said straightforwardly. Hearing this, Huashida's cold fingers rubbed against hers slowly. After a while, he walked up again. All right, I got it. Mr. Hui, your dinner. I'll eat later. Hearing this, Auntie Meow could not help but have a headache. In the past, when Miss Pei was not around, Mr. Hui had never allowed her to eat and did not cherish her health at all. However, after Miss Pei came, Mr. Hui started to change. At least he would eat on time every day. But now, Auntie Meow saw that Mr. Hui had not changed at all. He was only willing to eat with Miss Pei every day. In the Qin family's old mansion. Grandpa, why don't you call Qin Yu to hurry him up? Is Qin Yu doing this on purpose? Do you want him to stay with Gu alone? Suppressing his temper, Qin Lang walked to old Master Qin. Old Master Qin's eyelid twitched. Gu still has to go to Shidu. How can she be so fast? That's true, but Qin Yu isn't a good person. Qin Lang could not help but mutter. The corners of old Master Qin's mouth twitched. He looked at his anxious grandson and then at his eldest grandson, who was sitting on the sofa and working. Ah, are you good people? Don't you know how many times you've come to the old mansion when Gu isn't around? Now she was in a hurry to live in the old house. Not long after, there was a sound at the door. Old Master Qin and the rest looked up and saw Qin Yu smiling with a beautiful girl beside him. It was their Gu. Bei Yunj didn't say much along the way. When she looked up and saw old Master Qin, she smiled. Grandpa. What's wrong, Gu? Why do I feel like you're unhappy? Old Master Qin reached out to touch Bei Yunj's head and deliberately teased her. You don't like living with me? How could this be? Bei Yunj smiled. When she turned around, she realized that Qin Lang and Qin Luyan were both there. Seeing that old Master Qin was staring at her, Bei Yunj narrowed her eyes and said, Big brother, third brother. The moment she finished speaking, Qin Luyan and Qin Lang were also stunned. The atmosphere inexplicably fell into a chill. Was Gu willing to call them that just now? Suddenly, Qin Lang understood why Qin Yu had sent so many red packets just because she called him second brother. Chapter 426. Qin Luyan did not seem to be affected. He responded calmly and sat on the sofa. Qin Lang's heart was beating wildly, and he could not suppress the corners of his lips. Gu, do you want to take a look at your room first? I'll go alone. With that said, Qin Yu had already taken the initiative to carry Bei Yunj's luggage upstairs. Seeing this, Bei Yunj could not say anything else and only followed Qin Yu upstairs. Qin Lang, who was trying his best to suppress his emotions, sat on the sofa and could not help but take out his phone. He scrolled through his WeChat moments and liked them crazily. At the same time, it attracted the doubts of his WeChat moments. Brother Lang, did your account get hacked? Brother Lang, why are you liking our opponent's player? The coach has already gone to get the knife. F***ck Brother Lang, don't scare me. I just heard 2 days ago that you don't like women. Now you're liking my WeChat moments. No way, no way. Dog Qin, are you crazy? I was F***king hit by a car. Why are you liking it? Qin Lang was in a good mood. He ignored those people who were spewing nonsense and flipped through the list happily. However, he also noticed with his sharp eyes that Qin Luyan kept sending red packets in the Qin Corporation's management group. Qin Lang looked up at Qin Luyan, who had a cold and composed expression. He was indeed different on the inside. Upstairs. The moment Bai Yunj pushed open the door, she saw a pink decoration. What's wrong, Gur? Why are you standing there? Do you like it a lot? Second brother and your third brother specially arranged it. After Qin Yu put Bai Yunj's luggage in, he said happily. This was the pink princess room that he and Qin Lang had spent a lot of effort to design. Bai Yunj was speechless. Although she did not hate pink, it was difficult for her to fall asleep with such a strong visual impact. Bai Yunj thought for a moment and asked tactfully, "Are there any other rooms?" "What's wrong? Gur doesn't like it?" Qin Yu asked instinctively, staring at her unblinkingly. Bai Yunj's eyes flashed. "I'm fine. Gur, you rest first. When it's time for dinner, I'll call you upstairs." "All right." After watching Qin Yu go downstairs, Bai Yunj walked to the other side of the long corridor. She pushed open the door of the guest room. After making sure that no one was staying, she put her things in. However, Bai Yunj did not notice that the guest room seemed to have just been cleaned. At night, Bai Yunj accompanied Old Master Qin for dinner. Other than Old Master Qin, there were also Qin Luyan and the other two at home. It looked very lively. But for some reason, Bai Yunj still felt a sense of loss. "Gur, is the food at home not to your liking? Why do you seem to be eating so little?" Old Master Qin asked worriedly. After Bai Yunj came back to her senses, she picked up more food and said, "No." Seeing this, Old Master Qin didn't say anything else, but looking at his granddaughter, his heart was like a mirror. If it wasn't because the food wasn't good, then it was because the person he wanted to see wasn't here. After going upstairs, Bai Yunj was flipping through her book as usual, but her phone was not on silent mode. Soon her phone rang. In less than 3 seconds, Bai Yunj picked up her phone and answered the call. Who knew? It was Delaney's voice from the other end. "Miss Pei isn't busy?" Delaney was flattered. He did not expect Bai Yunj to answer the call so quickly. Chapter 427. What's the matter? Bai Yunj asked. Actually, it's not a big deal. Delaney chuckled. I'm going to Yinqing in half a month too. Why don't we arrange a time to go out for a meal? Bai Yunj said. I don't have time. I have to prepare for the monthly exam. Delaney was speechless. Was there a more perfunctory reason than this? Will you take a look at the professional league on the maps of the gods? Delaney asked carefully. This was Bai Yunj's third brother's competition after all. He should be there, right? I don't have time. Bai Yunj still used the same words. Delaney was speechless. Was the Qin family cutting ties with Bai Yunj? All right then. Delaney could not hide his sigh. Originally, he really wanted to meet Bai Yunj when he came to Yuncheng this time. After all, to be able to have such a scientific research level at such a young age, he would definitely be an amazing person in the future. He felt that his brat was very lucky to be able to let Tich do scientific research with such a person. My brat was still clamoring to come and see you. Then I'll tell him. Bai Yunj suddenly interrupted him. Is Tich coming too? Delaney said without hesitation, yes. Then let him come. Jasmine will come over when he's free. Bai Yunj's words made Delaney suddenly feel that he was inferior to his son. He was a big boss with one of the top 3 assets in the world. Yet he was inferior to his silly son. The next moment, before Delaney could feel indignant, he heard Bai Yunj suddenly speak. Delaney, I know you have the idea of raising your son poor. But Tich has lost so much weight. As his father, you have to be concerned. Delaney was speechless. He immediately said, Teacher Pei, did you misunderstand something? Is that so? I think Tich and Jasmine have been in low spirits recently. Although Bai Yunj felt that her 2 students were not very smart, they were still her students. She didn't want anything to happen to her student. Delaney was silent for a moment. Teacher Pei, Tich and the others often stay up all night to complete your missions and don't have time to eat. That's why. They're not in good spirits. It wasn't because they didn't have enough money to eat. Bei Yunj. Back then, she had considered that Tich and Jasmine were slow in grasping the content, so she had given them very few missions. Did I arrange a lot? Bei Yunj couldn't help but ask. In her previous life, when she had just started doing research, she had done the same amount of tasks every day. Even if they weren't used to it at first, they would get used to it quickly. Delaney thought for a moment and said tactfully, "Teacher Pei, you might not know this, but most people won't be able to catch up to you in their entire lives." After all, back then, Tich had also felt that he was a genius that was hard to come by in 100 years. But when he entered Country R's Computing Institute, he finally sobered up. He even occasionally doubted himself and asked Delaney if it was better for him to go home and inherit billions of assets. Bei Yunj was silent for a long time before hanging up after exchanging a few words with Delaney. A few minutes later, Bei Yunj sent another message in the group chat with Tich and the other two. "Tomorrow's class will be changed to Sunday. There's no rush to send it to my email. Also, if you want to attend the academic exchange meeting in Country or next week, bring my invitation letter." Chapter 428. When Tich and Jasmine, who were working hard on their projects, saw this news, their eyes brimmed with tears of excitement and complicated emotions. Initially, they thought that their teacher had already despised them enough. It was very likely that she would report to Marcus that she wanted to change the two interns. However, they did not expect that their teacher would even give them an invitation to our nation's academic exchange. This was an academic exchange that everyone wanted to attend no matter what. Where did our teacher get an invitation to our nation's academic exchange? Tich was stunned for a moment before he asked in confusion. Only those at the top of the academic circle could have an invitation to the academic exchange. Although their teacher was indeed amazing, she did not have any stable scientific research results in the industry. At this moment, Marcus, who was engrossed in his project, suddenly looked up. "Oh, I forgot to tell you. Busaka has specially invited your teacher to watch the award ceremony. I heard from the judges that your teacher's project was done too late and couldn't make it in time for this year's Busaka award. Therefore, they invited your teacher to watch the venue first and wait for the next one." Tich and Jasmine. Was there such a thing? This was the KZ Busaka Award, the highest award in the computing field. Marcus smiled as if he could see their shock. He said leisurely, "That's more like it. You two brats, don't drag her down too much." As for the invitation to our nation's academic exchange, they had probably heard about Busaka and were deliberately trying to curry favor with Bei Yunj. After all, to the public, was still a very unfamiliar existence. Every year, our nation would invite the top researchers to speak at the conference. Naturally, they would want to build a good relationship with Bei Yunj. They hoped that if there was a chance in the future, Bei Yunj would give them some face. Marcus could not help but snort. These two hotheads still did not know what level of thigh they had cozied up to. Are we really dragging Teacher Pei down? After Tich was done being agitated, he seemed to have thought of something and his expression darkened. Marcus was very honest. Yes. Wonderful book, right? Tich and Jasmine. Then, before Jasmine could finish, he was interrupted by Marcus. What does it matter? How many people in this world wouldn't be a burden to her? Tich and Jasmine. It seemed to make a lot of sense. You guys should work harder and make her less upset. Marcus couldn't help but stifle his laughter when he saw the two young geniuses doubting their lives. They were lucky and unlucky to have met such a teacher. As a genius, there were many times when the teacher couldn't keep up with the student halfway through learning. But now Tich and Jasmine's situation was reversed. He became a student who couldn't catch up to his teacher no matter what. This strong feeling of disparity was indeed heartbreaking. Qin family's old residence. Bei Yunj had just finished showering and was about to work on a project when she heard her phone ring. Her long eyelashes fluttered, and her gaze fell on the remarks on the screen. Very soon, Bei Yunj answered the phone, but her tone was light. "What's the matter, brother?" "Yes." The man's deep voice became even more magnetic through the electric current, as if deliberately teasing people's eardrums. Bei Yunj sounded a little displeased. "It's so late. Do you have something to tell me? Chapter 429. The man's upturned eyes were charming and his gaze was deep and explicit. His posture was light and lazy and the corners of his lips curled up into a smile that made people blush and their hearts race. He held a cigarette casually between his fingers as he leaned lazily against the railing of the balcony. His voice was low and hoarse. I can't sleep. Bae-yunj was silent for a moment. Why can't you sleep? This man could not take good care of himself when he was working. I'm afraid that the little girl will have no conscience and forget about me in 2 days. Bae-yunj was speechless. His words made it sound as if she had abandoned him after having sex with him. Before Bae-yunj could finish speaking, she heard the man drag his voice and say slowly, Brother is alone at home and can't wait for our union to call to say goodnight. His deep and magnetic voice seemed to ring in her ear. His laughter was very sexy and his tone was frivolous and ambiguous. Have I served you for nothing, Yunyin? The moment he finished speaking, Bae-yunj felt as if her ears had been scalded and her temperature rose rapidly. She almost threw her phone away. What was wrong with this man recently? Did he think that she could control herself very well? Or did he really treat her like a child who did not know anything about relationships? But after a while, Bae-yunj still took a deep breath to make herself look calm. Brother, you're only thinking about having someone accompany you when you're old. Who knew? The man only chuckled softly and asked intimately, Really? Then when is Yunyin going home to accompany brother? Hearing this, Bae-yunj's heart skipped a beat. The next day, Bae-yunj woke up very early. Although she did not sleep much, she was inexplicably energetic. As for the 3 members of the Qin family, because Bae-yunj had said last night that she did not like people knocking on the door to disturb her, they did not dare to go upstairs to look for her. They were afraid that Bae-yunj would find them clingy. Happy. Go, you're so early? Qin Yu and Qin Luyan were both there. As a senior internet addict, Qin Lang found it difficult to wake up at 6 in the morning. Bae-yunj sat on the sofa and glanced around but did not see old Master Qin. Where's Grandpa? They're doing Tai Chi in the backyard. Qin Yu was used to it. Bae-yunj nodded and didn't say anything more. She started to play with her phone. After that, she saw Jianxi's message. Jianxi, I'm so angry. I'm so angry. Jianxi, I knew that Hong Chongjin, that old thing, was the most despicable. Jianxi, Shiba Inu biting rod. JPG Bae-yunj. After a while, Bae-yunj replied. Why Gigi, who is he? At this moment, Jianxi, who was far away in Yin University's dormitory, was shocked when she saw the news. Although she felt that her teacher might really not know Hong Chongjin. But if Hong Chongjin knew about this, he would probably be angered to death. Jianxi, one of the founders of the Qingchong Computing Center, Hong Chongjin. Bae-yunj glanced at the message and remembered that when she had checked the local computing organizations, there seemed to be such a computing center. They claimed that they would catch up with the development of the Computing Institute within 3 years. However, since they had such a claim, it proved that they were still inferior to the institute. Therefore, Bae-yunj did not pay much attention to it. Why Gigi? Why are you suddenly scolding him? Jianxi, in his interview this month, he had a comment about the newbies in the industry. He was talking about you. Chapter 430. The 10 billion project this time had indeed made many people jealous. And the rise of a newcomer would definitely affect the interests of others. Therefore, the outside world was saying that was just a genius newcomer packaged by the Delaney Group. Hong Chongjin even took the lead in condemning people like her. Such opportunistic and powerless people would only tarnish the scientific research community. Bae-yunj finished searching for the relevant reports and chuckled in surprise. After all, in her previous life, Bae-yunj had Meng Liang as her mother, and her career in the scientific research community had always been smooth. In the eyes of others, Bae-yunj was born at the finish line. Others had to work 100 times harder to offset the educational resources Bae-yunj had from the moment she was born. However, what made people feel even more unreasonable was that the person who had this kind of educational resources was a genuine genius. In fact, she was several times more terrifying than her mother, Meng Liang, back then. However, When everyone saw that Meng Liang and her mother had shorter lives than the other, they sighed that the heavens were jealous of geniuses, and that it was good to be mediocre. Why Gigi? The mediocre are mediocre. Don't pay attention to these useless interviews. Jianxi. Okay, by the way, teacher, I heard that Hong Chongjin recently accepted a student. I think it's your Cheng Zihuai. Actually, Hong Chongjin had said that he would not accept any personal students. However, who would have thought that news would spread in the past 2 days that Hong Chongjin had accepted Cheng Zihuai as his student, and even planned to groom him as his successor? Bei Yunj raised her eyebrows. She did not expect such a thing to happen. Qingchong Computing Center. Have you communicated with the Computing Institute? The middle-aged man walked out of the research lab and sized up Cheng Zihuai in front of him. His tone was a little arrogant. He had no choice but to accept this Cheng Zihuai, because someone had come looking for him. Fortunately, he was indeed a little smart and would not embarrass him. I've already made it clear. I won't go to the Computing Institute anymore. After Cheng Zihuai answered, he thought of Jianxi, who had been accepted as a student. He unconsciously clenched his fists and warned himself silently. In the country, other than Zhong Shenglin, only Hong Chongjin could be considered one of the top figures in the computing field. Even if he was a rookie, he still couldn't compare to a veteran researcher like Hong Chongjin. His path would definitely be much easier than Jianxi's. As for him, he would definitely regret not taking him in. A cold glint flashed across Cheng Zihuai's eyes. That's good. Hong Chongjin laughed sarcastically. So now, we're just relying on Zhong Shenglin to hold on. Back then the institute was still full of talents, but now, it's already half dead. A dark glint flashed across Cheng Zihuai's eyes when he heard this. Teacher Hong, I heard that there's a dig there. As expected. The smile on Hong Chongjin's face froze. Then he sneered in disdain. Are you afraid that you won't die quickly enough? He dares to poach any kind of goods. Cheng Zihuai could tell that Hong Chongjin didn't like it, so he didn't say anything. Seeing this, Hong Chongjin also glanced at Cheng Zihuai and his tone became even more sarcastic. Don't tell me you also think that this is very powerful? But both Marcus and Zhong Shenglin think highly of him. Before Cheng Zihuai could finish speaking, he was interrupted coldly by Hong Chongjin. In this world, how can there be a genius who appears out of nowhere? They're just things packaged by capital. Chapter 431. Hong Chongjin glanced at him from the corner of his eye, and seemed to have thought of something. His tone turned cold. By the way, you're also someone who has been there before. What do you think of the Computing Institute? Cheng Zihuai sensed Hong Chongjin's deliberate probing and could only say, other than Elder Zhong, Professor C seems to be not bad too. Hong Chongjin snorted, arrogant and smug. Yes, Si Qingyan is alright. This Zhong Shenglin only taught Si Qingyan. He will be finished sooner or later. With that said, he smiled at Cheng Zihuai. But the Qingchong Computing Center is different. In the past few years, a large number of talents have entered our center. It's just a matter of time before we surpass the Computing Institute. Learn well. In the future, my position will be left for you. Hearing this, a trace of light flashed past Cheng Zihuai's eyes and he immediately said, Thank you, teacher. Hong Chongjin snorted and started working on the project again. Guh. Qin Lang called out to her softly. Bei Yunj regained her senses and looked at Qin Lang. What's wrong? It's Saturday today. Do you want to watch my competition with Grandpa? After Qin Lang asked, he looked at Bei Yunj nervously. Qin Lang had asked when old Master Qin was not around. He was afraid that Bei Yunj would not be able to make a choice in front of old Master Qin. No, I have something on. With that said, Qin Lang's eyes darkened slightly. He clenched his fists unnaturally and forced a smile. Okay. Gur, be careful on the road too. Qin Yu had an interview that he could not reject today and had just left. However, Qin Luyan was not in a hurry to go to work. He sat by the side and read the newspaper. He only glanced at that scene calmly and did not say anything. Soon, after old Master Qin returned, he changed his clothes and put on a hat. He grabbed Qin Lang and asked, I shouldn't be discovered like this, right? Qin Lang comforted him. No. How can anyone know you in my competition? Old Master Qin was speechless. He was also a reputable person, okay? Isn't Guer going? Hearing this, Qin Lang froze and smiled. Guer still has things to do. Don't stick to your granddaughter all day long. Brat, who am I doing this for? Old Master Qin slapped the back of Qin Lang's head and said angrily with an unhappy expression. None of his 3 grandsons were close to his precious granddaughter. He was just trying to help improve their relationship. All right. Let's go, or we'll be late for the competition. Qin Lang smiled, hiding the disappointment in his eyes. Actually, Qin Lang was supposed to follow his team members and set off from the base together. However, because Bai Yunj had returned yesterday, Qin Lang had applied for leave the day before the competition. However, not long after the two set off, Bai Yunj took her laptop from upstairs and was about to go to the computing institute when she found 2 entry tickets on the coffee table. Bai Yunj. Were they planning to buy 2 folding chairs and squat outside to watch? Actually, Qin Lang didn't have to worry. He could enter with his face. What she was afraid of was that Qin Lang would walk backstage, and the old master would only realize that he didn't have a ticket when he entered the front door. Thinking of this, Bai Yunj subconsciously pressed the space between her eyebrows and glanced at Qin Luyan, who was about to leave. What's wrong, Gu? Qin Luyan saw that Bai Yunj had something on and took the initiative to ask. Nothing. Bai Yunj thought for a moment, then went upstairs to put her laptop back and went out with the 2 tickets. According to the address on the tickets, Bai Yunj arrived at the venue in about half an hour. Chapter 432. Bai Yunj walked to the door and realized that this competition was indeed quite popular. The moment she looked up, she saw that most of the support on the field was for Qin Lang and his team. In fact, Bai Yunj could not find Old Master Qin for a while. Soon, Bai Yunj called Old Master Qin. Although the environment was a little noisy. Grandpa, did you go in? Are you talking about the competition venue? I went in. Grandpa realized that he didn't bring a ticket on the way, so he went backstage first. Alright, that's good. With that said, Bai Yunj was about to hang up when she heard Old Master Qin ask. Guer, where are you? Old Master Qin was stunned. When he heard the commotion on Bai Yunj's side, he could not help but ask, Guer, did you bring Grandpa a ticket? I didn't. Before Bai Yunj could finish speaking, a girl beside her screamed excitedly, Ah, Qin Lang. Look. Bai Yunj changed her words. I haven't gone in yet. That's good. Come backstage to find Grandpa. Grandpa doesn't know how to go to the audience seats alone. Hearing this, Bai Yunj answered without thinking. After hanging up the call, she glanced around and found that the screen in the sports square was playing the photos of the previous champions of the Maps of the Gods. Qin Lang was the face of Country A that appeared the most. From his cold and arrogant eyes to the occasional trace of high spirits, there was light in his eyes. This reminded Bai Yunj of the Qin Lang in her dream. Where did the glow in his eyes come from? There was only a lifeless look in his eyes. Especially after the original owner died, Qin Lang did not go to the club to be a coach anymore. Instead, he went to some mines to be a miner. In the end, in a dangerous accident, Qin Lang chose to give up his life for the high compensation. It was only after Qin Lang died that Qin Luyan and Qin Yu found out that after the original owner passed away, the beneficiaries of Qin Lang's death had been changed to them. However, the 2 brothers did not collect Qin Lang's death compensation. On the 7th day after Qin Lang's death, the Qin family was completely destroyed. Bai Yunj hid the darkness in her eyes as she scrolled through another number and called him. Miss Bai, how did you find the time to call me? The president of EG Corporation, Vic, almost stood up in excitement when he received Bai Yunj's call. Can I enter the competition venue on the Maps of the Gods? Bai Yunj thought for a moment and added, backstage. Sure. Wake thought of the hacker movie he watched last time, and his imagination suddenly went wild. Would it be faster for you to hack into the security system? Bai Yunj. No wonder he was Delaney's cousin. This was the first time she had heard such a request. Bai Yunj smiled patiently and said, If you like, I'll try to hack into your headquarters tonight. I don't have my laptop with me right now. Can I trouble you to help me? Wake suddenly sobered up and immediately declined. No, 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 you'd better do your own thing. A few minutes later, when Pei Yunj walked to the backstage entrance, she saw an elite in a suit with a gold-plated admission card in his hand. Excuse me, are you Miss Pei? The young man sized up Pei Yunj in surprise. He did not expect the news from the headquarters that the person they wanted to receive with the highest treatment would be a young girl. Pei Yunj answered. Hearing this, the young man handed the entrance card to Pei Yunj. This is for you. What is this? Chapter 433. Pei Yunj held it in her hand. She didn't think that an ordinary backstage employee card could be made so exquisitely. This is the identity card that the headquarters said they would prepare for you. In the future, you can use this card to enter and exit any place under EG Corporation. After the young man finished speaking, he asked enthusiastically, Do you need me to accompany you on a tour? No need, I'm here to look for someone. Thank you. After Pei Yunj took the card, she went in to look for Old Master Qin. In the long corridor, Old Master Qin was stunned when he saw Pei Yunj enter. How did you get in? Pei Yunj's eyes flickered. She held Old Master Qin's hand and said lazily, There was no one at the door, so I came in. There was such a situation. Old Master Qin's eyes widened, but before he could think further, Pei Yunj brought him to the venue. However, as soon as they arrived, they heard Old Master Qin cursing. How could the venue be so noisy? Couldn't they consider the feelings of the old man? Pei Yunj seemed to have seen Old Master Qin's anger. She smiled and leaned closer to say, Grandpa, you're dressed too young today. They didn't notice. When Old Master Qin heard this, his unhappiness was instantly swept away and he generously forgave these young people. Pei Yunj and Old Master Qin sat in the first row according to Qin Lang's instructions. They were also very close to the stage. At this moment, the moment the two teams went on stage, the atmosphere in the venue was ignited. Screams rose and fell one after another. Fortunately, Pei Yunj had the foresight to cover Old Master Qin's ears and calmly wait for the enthusiasm of the crowd to dissipate. 69 school bag, and this scene happened to fall into the eyes of one of the team members on the stage. F***CK, isn't the little sister below too cute? Did you see? When she screamed just now, she immediately covered the ears of the old man next to her. Hearing this, another team member who was drinking water glanced coldly at Pei Yunj and Old Master Qin and sneered disdainfully. Didn't you see? That woman's clothes are all unbranded, and the older one beside her has a jacket that costs a few million. That person's gaze became even more contemptuous and disdainful. Women nowadays are really willing to do anything for money. It can't be? That girl looked too beautiful. She's even prettier than the movie queen I saw last time. Why not? She'll probably sleep with me as long as I give her money. I'll get your phone number later. The opposing team's discussion was not soft, and Qin Lang could hear it clearly. Unconsciously, his gaze turned cold. But after that, when Qin Lang turned his head and saw the people in the front row, he instantly knew who the people in the opposite team were talking about. Instantly, Qin Lang squeezed the mineral water bottle in his hand so hard that it made a cracking sound. Blue veins popped out on the back of his bony hand. Before the team members next to him could react, Qin Lang had already taken a step forward and walked to the opposite team. The person who spoke rudely just now heard the commotion behind him. Before he could turn around, he was suddenly kicked in the butt. His entire body fell forward. Are you courting death? For the first time, everyone saw that Qin Lang's eyes were filled with coldness, and his viciousness was difficult to conceal. This scene caused the atmosphere to freeze. The referee, coach, and the rest of the people felt their blood turn cold. What was wrong with this young master? This was a F***King live broadcast. Why did he hit someone at this time? Chapter 434. He went up and kicked Xiaoji's butt. Did he think that their team was developing too well? In the industry, other than Qin Lang himself, Xiaoji had the most female fans. What was he trying to do? As expected, Xiaoji's fans immediately shouted when they saw their idol being kicked in the butt. Qin Lang's fans were also stunned. They did not know why their brother Lang had gone crazy today. Qin Lang, are you crazy? Xiaoji's handsome face was about to contort. Qin Lang's teammates did not know what attitude to maintain for a moment. Wasn't Brother Lang playing too fiercely today? Usually, no matter how Xiaoji plucked the fur from the tigers, but Qin Lang would not care. Why did Brother Lang suddenly go berserk today? You should be glad that you're still competing. Otherwise, would I have given you the chance to stand up? Qin Lang sneered. His beautiful eyes were filled with a cold light. His silver hair was lazy and untamed as he looked down at him from above. Xiaoji was humiliated by Qin Lang in public. His face turned green and red and his eyes were filled with resentment. He gritted his teeth. Just you wait. As the competition had not started yet, there would not be any punishment for the conflict before the competition. However, it would definitely be on the headlines later. Qin Lang sneered lazily and then kicked his knee. What are you waiting for? If you say any more dirty words to me, after the competition, do you think this thing will be ruined? Xiaoji was just about to scold Qin Lang, but when he looked up, he met Qin Lang's cold, half-smiling eyes. This was even scarier than Qin Lang. Suddenly, Xiaoji realized that he seemed to have said something about the girl below the stage. After that, Qin Lang's mood changed drastically. Chapter 9. When the competition officially started. The moment the two sides went on stage, they attracted the attention of countless people. As for the sudden incident just now, it had been temporarily forgotten due to the enthusiasm of the competition. However, this competition, until the second and third round, people could not help but be puzzled. Why did Qin Lang only go on stage once, and use the substitutes for the rest? I'm convinced. Are there people in the esports scene who are starting to act like big shots? Looking down on other opponents so much? The female fan who was supporting Xiaoji sneered sarcastically. However, Qin Lang's fans, who had been quietly watching the match, were instantly unhappy. Maybe the neighbor next door is too weak, so Brother Lang wants to give way? Look at the points. If Brother Lang doesn't appear in the next few rounds, it doesn't seem like there will be any changes, right? Being a noob is the original sin, Qin Lang's fans chimed in one after another. Instantly, the faces of the few people who were being sarcastic earlier changed. At this moment, when Bei Yunj heard the voices from the last few rows, she seemed to have thought of something and her eyes darkened. Was it because of the hand? Before Bei Yunj could think, the fans in the back rows suddenly screamed. The next moment, Bei Yunj glanced to the side and saw the usually unruly and lazy boy wearing the team uniform. His eyes were lowered, and he carefully carried snacks and milk drinks in his arms as he walked towards her. Qin Lang, who had always been the image of an arrogant young master in everyone's hearts, was actually able to form a relationship with an explosive boyfriend at this moment. It even made people want to touch his signature silver hair and furry head. Why do I feel like Brother Lang is flirting with me today? Chapter 435. But in the next second, everyone saw Qin Lang slowly bend down on one knee in front of a young girl and place the snacks and drinks in her arms. Qin Lang unconsciously touched the back of his neck lazily and chuckled softly. His youthful eyes curved and he inadvertently revealed a careless ruffian look. Our third brother couldn't go out at the moment, so I searched for some backstage for you. Old Master Qin, who was only handed a bottle of iced red tea, was speechless. The fans below the stage were about to explode. This was the reason why you didn't compete well. Did you not want your girlfriend fans anymore? Announcing your relationship on the spot? Bei Yunj looked at Qin Lang's hand and nodded. Enough, thank you. After hesitating for a moment, she added, third brother. Hearing this, Qin Lang raised the corners of his eyes and the light in his eyes deepened. The corners of his lips curled up and he squatted lazily in front of Bei Yunj. He reached out and patted her head. You're welcome. Third brother will give Gur a trophy later, okay? At this moment, no one knew what the cameraman was thinking, but he directly turned the big screen camera to Bei Yunj's side. The intimate actions of the two of them, as well as Qin Lang's change from his usual arrogance to gentleness, made people suspect that this was the prelude to announcing their relationship. The venue was filled with screams. Qin Lang's team members were so angry that they were contorted. Why? They were all gaming dogs. Why did their captain have an overly beautiful girlfriend behind their backs? Isn't this too much? We were playing a competition up there, but he disappeared after one round. Or did he go down to take care of his girlfriend? Don't you think what's even more King outrageous is that those snacks are mine? They're mine. A fat boy roared sadly. It was too hurtful. Captain usually said that he should eat less to prevent himself from getting high when he was old. But what about him? He blatantly took his snacks and gave them to his girlfriend. Was he still considered human? When everyone heard this, they took a closer look and realized that the snacks they brought were already lying quietly on Bei Yunji's lap. The team members looked disgusted. F***ck Chin dog die. Wait. Don't you think that girl looks familiar? It can't be. You can also meet such a beautiful sister? In a dream? The team member restrained his urge to beat him up and said with a fake smile, I think she's Brother Lang's sister. Immediately, everyone on the stage quieted down and stared blankly at Bei Yunji below the stage. They suddenly understood why Qin Lang doted on his sister so much. Isn't my sister a little too pretty? Damn, he's so good-looking. Isn't his looks too amazing? How did the captain's family grow up? Isn't she too beautiful? The men stared blankly at Bei Yunji, unable to say anything nice. He could only say that she was beautiful. In the fourth round, Qin Lang went up again and widened the gap between the two teams. The audience cheered joyfully. During the intermission, Xiaoji and the others were still discussing. Captain, I've received some news. One of the team members looked around cautiously and said to Xiaoji, something seems to have happened to Qin Lang's hand. My friend saw him go for a checkup. Do you know what happened? A glint flashed across Xiaoji's eyes as he asked. The doctor is too tight-lipped, so we can't dig out any information. But look, he didn't even dare to compete today. There must be something wrong. Chapter 436. When Xiaoji heard this, he didn't say anything. But his heart was restless. If Qin Lang really had a problem with his hand, then Qin Lang's team would lose its backbone. And he would have the chance to lead his team to become the #1 team in the country. Thinking of this, Xiaoji subconsciously suppressed his excitement and tried to keep himself rational. Let's wait and see. Qin Lang just got off the stage for that girl. When Xiaoji said this, the members subconsciously looked at Bei Yunji and thought of the scene just now. This was indeed not in line with Qin Lang's usual character. Just as the atmosphere was silent, Xiaoji looked up and happened to catch a glimpse of Bei Yunji walking into the backstage. A strange light flashed across his eyes as he watched Bei Yunji walk inside. He just patted his team member's shoulder. You go back first. I know how to deal with this matter. After that, Xiaoji caught up with Bei Yunji's back. The disdain and sarcasm in his eyes grew stronger. He really didn't expect that this woman would dare to sneak backstage. However, at this moment, Xiaoji had already made up his mind. Since Qin Lang cared so much about this girl, what if he touched her? With Qin Lang's care for this girl, he would definitely want to end the competition as soon as possible and find trouble with him. In the next round, Qin Lang would definitely play personally. But if Qin Lang was injured, where did he get the courage to continue playing personally? The smile on Xiaoji's face became even more obvious. If Qin Lang was really injured, then he was also looking forward to the day when Qin Lang would get out of the esports scene. Thinking of this, Xiaoji had already followed Bei Yunji to the elevator on the first floor. After seeing Bei Yunji enter, Xiaoji immediately followed her into the elevator. At this moment, Bei Yunji glanced at Xiaoji indifferently. Her red lips curled up, but there was no smile in her eyes. She casually pressed the 4th floor. As for Xiaoji, after looking at the number of floors that Bei Yunji pressed, he also chuckled. The 4th floor is the management level. Miss, do you know someone from the management level? Bei Yunji didn't even look at him. She just waited quietly. Soon, they reached the 4th floor. However, as soon as the elevator door opened, Xiaoji quickly stopped Bei Yunji. Miss, are you not going to give me any face? Xiaoji's gloomy eyes stared at her as he laughed. Sir, are you not going to move aside? There was no emotion in Bei Yunji's tone, but there was a hint of impatience in his half-smile. How long have you known Qin Lang? Qin Lang hasn't had a woman by his side for so many years. Today he's trying to please you in public. Xiaoji stared at her, afraid that he would miss any expression. However, does Qin Lang know that you know anyone in the management team? Seeing the elevator door close again, Pei Yunj snorted. Her leisurely tone was filled with a terrifying coldness. Don't you understand human language? Xiaoji's eyes suddenly darkened. He looked at Pei Yunj in front of him and suddenly smiled. You are indeed qualified to hook up with Qin Lang, but you don't have to focus only on Qin Lang. My fans in the industry aren't much less than Qin Lang's. He has the Qin family behind him, and I have the Xiao family behind me. As soon as he finished speaking, Xiaoji approached Pei Yunj step by step. He put one hand on the wall of the elevator, and the other hand wanted to lift Pei Yunj's chin. But the next moment, however, the corners of Pei Yunj's lips curled up, and she turned her face away quickly, causing Xiaoji to miss. You should be called Xiaoji, right? Pei Yunj had seen Xiaoji in the original owner's dream. Chapter 437. Xiaoji, the person who later replaced Qin Lang's position. Another time, he deliberately made things difficult for the original owner in front of Qin Lang. He was beaten up by Qin Lang, and was also admitted to the hospital. And later, Qin Lang's leg was almost broken by the Xiao family. You know me? Xiaoji was in a good mood when he heard this. He thought that his popularity was not much worse than Qin Lang's. Yes. Pei Yunj's eyes curved. Just like in her previous life, the original owner introduced herself to Xiaoji and repeated word by word. I'm Qin Lang's sister Pei Yunj. What was different was, Pei Yunj's eyes were filled with coldness that was hard to detect. And Xiaoji was not like in her previous life, who led a group of people to mock her and deliberately embarrassed her in public. Her pupils constricted and she gritted her teeth. You're his sister? Xiaoji sneered. Isn't that even easier? I want to see if Qin Lang will go crazy when his sister is raped by the enemy. Hearing this, unlike ordinary people, Pei Yunj did not show any panic in this claustrophobic and quiet elevator. Instead, the corners of her lips curled up. Okay, don't worry about others first. Pei Yunj slowly lifted her long hair, bit the rubber band on her wrist, and tied it up easily. There are still 10 minutes to the competition, right? When Xiaoji heard this and saw Pei Yunj's posture, he could not help but laugh sarcastically. Did this woman think that she could beat him with her thin arms and legs? Ridiculous. I advise you to be sensible. You don't want to be watched by others what we do in the elevator, do you? Xiaoji deliberately threatened, and then reached out to touch Pei Yunj. But in the next moment, before Xiaoji could react, Pei Yunj suddenly kicked him in the abdomen. Ah! In the elevator, an unbearable cry of pain sounded. The veins on Xiaoji's forehead popped out. His expression was painful and cold sweat broke out. What's the point of doing it in the elevator? The girl suddenly laughed. Her lazy and clear voice sounded very flirtatious, but at this moment, when it fell into the man's ears, it made his heart turn cold. You! Xiaoji's heart gradually filled with fear, but before he could say anything, he saw Pei Yunj open the elevator door. Shortly after, before Xiaoji could react, Pei Yunj grabbed him by the back of his collar and dragged him towards the door. Xiaoji was choked so tightly that he couldn't breathe. His whole face was red, but no matter how hard he struggled, he couldn't break free from Pei Yunj's hands. She was easily dragged away by Pei Yunj. Cough cough. You cough. Xiaoji opened his mouth with great difficulty. His throat tightened again and he coughed violently. After that, just as Xiaoji felt that he was about to lose consciousness, Pei Yunj suddenly threw him down. The two of them went to the sink in the public restroom. Xiaoji had long been traumatized by this girl. What are you trying to do? Didn't you tell me to be tactful? Pei Yunj chuckled unhurriedly and walked toward Xiaoji. When Xiaoji saw this, his heart almost jumped to his throat. He almost didn't hesitate to shout, "Help, help!" But soon, Pei Yunj grabbed him by the collar with one hand, pressed him to the side of the mop basin, and turned the faucet to the maximum. Xiaoji wanted to call for help, but when he opened his mouth, he drank a few mouthfuls of water and choked. The person behind him held his neck and didn't give him any chance to move at all, until Xiaoji was about to die. Chapter 438. Only then did the hand behind his back loosen. At this moment, Xiaoji fell to the ground from the edge of the mop basin. He was drenched and in a sorry state. Unconsciously, he heard Bei Yunji's soft laughter. He looked up and saw her standing by the sink, washing her hands slowly. Your father is involved in the CT project, right? As his son, shouldn't you remind him not to mess with the Qin family? Bei Yunji's words rang out slowly, but inexplicably, they sent a chill down his spine. How did Bei Yunji know about this? In fact, this project was a collaboration between the Qin family and other companies over the past 5 years. However, the Xiao family and the Qin family had always been at odds. The Xiao family had long planned to bring down the Qin family. Therefore, they were prepared to take advantage of this collaboration with the Qin family and interfere with the project. They wanted the Qin family to fall completely and never be able to rise again. Before Xiaoji could feel guilty, Bei Yunji had already walked up to him. She lazily sprinkled the wet water on Xiaoji's head and smiled condescendingly. Otherwise, the next person to lie in your position will be him. As soon as she finished speaking, Bei Yunji's cell phone rang in her pocket. She pulled out a tissue, wiped her hands dry, and took out her cell phone. It was the person in charge of the competition that she had just met. Bei Yunji saw this and glanced at Xiaoji. In an instant, Xiaoji's scalp went numb and he didn't dare to say a word. Bei Yunji saw this scene, sneered softly, and walked out of the door. Coincidentally, at this moment, the young man she had just met Bei Yunji in the corridor. Miss Pei. The person in charge was a little surprised. He adjusted his glasses and said, I didn't expect you to be here. I just passed by and didn't seem to find you. Yes, I was followed by a strange man just now, so I went to the washroom. Hearing this, Potato, the person in charge suddenly became nervous. What? Here. Someone actually dared to follow backstage. Wasn't that too presumptuous? Yes, he's still in the washroom. If you have time, why don't you take care of it? Bei Yunji nodded and smiled. This made the person in charge feel a little strange, but after thinking about it, Bei Yunji would not lie to him. He immediately called the security guard over and got someone to call the police. Miss Pei, if you encounter such a situation again, it's better to call the police. The person in charge reminded. Yes, thank you. Bei Yunji changed the topic and asked. So, why did you ask me to come here? Yes, that's right. The person in charge smiled gently. The headquarters are asking if you are free. The founder of EG Group, Mr. Vic, wants to meet you during the next competition. When he said this, the person in charge was also very surprised. He did not expect Bei Yunji to know the big boss of their headquarters. No, I won't come next time. Bei Yunji refused without any hesitation. The manager's smile froze. Then what are you doing this time? Who would have thought that there would be a day when their big boss would be rejected? My family came to watch the competition and forgot to bring the tickets. After Bei Yunji finished speaking, she said goodbye to the person in charge and left. At this moment, the person in charge was also in a hurry to deal with the person in the washroom, so he did not think much about it. However, the person in charge waited for the security guard at the door. When the security guard went in and found the suspicious man who had followed them. Chapter 439. The person in charge's face froze. This was the first time he had encountered such a situation. But at this moment, Xiaoji's eyes lit up when he saw the person in charge. He gritted his teeth and said, CEO Wu, a woman deliberately beat me up just now. Go and catch her. I will definitely make them pay for this. The person in charge took a deep breath. Do you know what's her name? Bei Yunji. She's Qin Lang's sister, CEO Wu. Qin Lang must have ordered her to do this. However, before Xiaoji could finish speaking, the person in charge had already turned around and instructed the others. Let Xiaoji's team use a substitute. Send Xiaoji to the hospital first. Don't spread the news about anything else. Xiaoji looked at him in disbelief. CEO Wu. What do you mean? Xiaoji, you can provoke anyone but that person. The person in charge could not help but frown. He glanced at Xiaoji and left. This alienation made Xiaoji's heart turn cold. What did CEO Wu mean just now? CEO Wu did not say that when he had a conflict with Qin Lang previously. But now he actually told him not to provoke Bai Yunj. But wasn't this Bai Yunj the real good-for-nothing heiress that the internet said? What did CEO Wu mean? The next round of the competition began. The atmosphere in the venue did not diminish. It was exciting. However, what was very surprising was that Xiaoji actually used a substitute at the last minute. Damn, both captains used substitutes. What does this mean? Everyone was shocked. At this moment, Xiaoji's fans said arrogantly, "Our brother Ji wants the competition to be fair. If Qin Lang can use a substitute, why can't our brother Ji? Yo, my brother Lang got first place. Why didn't your brother Ji get first place too?" Qin Lang's fans, who had a feud with Xiaoji's fans for a long time, immediately retorted. You. Xiaoji's fans were furious. What's so great about that? Didn't he enter the industry a year earlier than my brother Ji? If my brother Ji entered the industry earlier, would Qin Lang even have a chance? Qin Lang's fans laughed. What can we do? My brother Lang is a year younger than your brother Ji. If that's the case, your brother Ji won't be able to get first place even when he retires, right? These words. Xiaoji's fans almost fought with Qin Lang's fans on the spot. However, Qin Lang had too many fans. Until the competition ended. As expected, Qin Lang's team won the match. But then, everyone realized that something was wrong. Although Qin Lang had found a substitute for the competition. But at least Qin Lang was there when she received the award. Why did Xiaoji disappear completely after finding a substitute? Perhaps the host was afraid that the fans would think too much. So during the award ceremony, he added a lucky draw segment. This allowed the audience to log into the maps of the gods and enter the lucky draw. As for the audience members who won the lottery, 300 of them would receive virtual coins as a reward. One audience member could go up on stage and hug the contestant. This instantly ignited the enthusiasm of the fans below the stage, and they all participated in the lucky draw. At this moment, Bai Yunj glanced at the big screen on the stage. Gradually, the IDs of the winners of the virtual currency awards were displayed. However, Old Master Qin was very interested in this. Gur, help me take a look. How should I draw it? As soon as Bai Yunj heard this, she immediately went back to participate in the event on behalf of Old Master Qin. Unfortunately, she didn't get any prizes. Old Master Qin was instantly disappointed. Chapter 440. Grandpa, it's okay. How much do you want? I'll transfer it to you. Bai Yunj took out her cell phone, intending to transfer the virtual coins to Old Master Qin. When she helped the headquarters of the maps of the gods solve the bug, the system automatically sent her a lot of virtual coins. As for how many there were, Bai Yunj did not count how many zeros there were. Unexpectedly, Old Master Qin's eyes lit up. He immediately leaned in and said, Gur, you should go for the lucky draw too. Bai Yunj was speechless. It made no difference whether she participated in this kind of lucky draw or not. Grandpa, I have a lot. You have to spend money to buy it. Old Master Qin disagreed. This can't be compared to the happiness you get without spending money. Listen to Grandpa and do the lucky draw. Don't worry. Grandpa told your fortune last year. You have a great fortune. You'll definitely win the prize. Bai Yunj was speechless. Was this how a great fortune should be used? Bai Yunj's lips twitched, but she did not go against Old Master Qin's wishes. She also did the lucky draw. After all, it was a waste of time to participate in this kind of lucky draw. However, a few seconds later, Bai Yunj saw a special light appear on the screen, and she had an ominous feeling. The next moment, a line of words appeared on her cell phone screen. Congratulations! You have won the special prize. Bai Yunj's breath froze. Immediately afterward, everyone suddenly saw the ID of the special prize appear on the screen at the same time. Special prize ID 1. This line of words was bigger and clearer than the one beside the winning virtual coins. All of a sudden, the entire audience froze and their minds were in a mess. Is this a high-quality imitation ID? Maps of the gods. Where did this high-quality imitation come from? Hence, the atmosphere became even weirder in an instant. Immediately afterward, U9 ebook. Screams could be heard in the venue. This is Is this going to break the dimension? Ah, are they going on stage to receive the prize? The special prize was to go on stage and hug the contestant. Everyone who was reminded was so excited that they almost exploded. All of a sudden, after being chosen for this prize, they even felt that the real winner was the pro player on stage. Boo-hoo! I suspect that this is a covert operation. The competition team deliberately wants to reward the contestant. Come out quickly. I've long wanted to see what it looks like. In the first row, Bei Yunj. Old Master Qin approached his granddaughter to ask, "Gore, did you win the virtual coins?" No. Bei Yunj immediately logged out of the maps of the gods and sent a message to the person in charge of the competition. Old Master Qin was greatly disappointed when he heard this. You didn't? That's such a pity. Bei Yunj was speechless. It's okay. We can still buy more. Anyway, Grandpa has money. I think to be? Bei Yunj paused. It's all right. He's very good. I heard that he's still young. Old Master Qin could not help but sigh enviously. How good would it be if he were my grandson? We need someone to do research at home. Upon finishing his words, Old Master Qin also looked at the stage, wanting to know what this person looked like. However, everyone waited for a while. The MC received a notice and smiled at everyone. I'm sorry. Well, this is an internal mistake. Let's redraw the special prize. Hearing that. Chapter 441. He was definitely at the scene. It was just that he refused to show up. No. This award is for. Instantly, the people below the stage began to jeer. Yes. There are two good-looking people on stage. Our brother Lang is so good-looking. Give us some face, Kong Kong, our brother Lang, I beg you. The female audience on the stage was louder than the other. The other audience and players could not help but laugh. On the stage, Qin Lang's team members also sighed. I really didn't expect to be so close to a cultured person in my life. Back then, he was also a thorn in his teacher's side. Now watching him compete, this feeling was really good. A cultured person also has to sit down and watch us compete. A few team members teased. However, Qin Lang sneered. Don't think about it. It's not your turn to sit here even if you play professionally. Wake up. As soon as he finished speaking, the team members wanted to refute, but they suddenly remembered that the first place in the maps of the gods had yet to be broken. A scholar should act like a scholar. Why should he play games? However, in fact, there were many highly educated players in the industry. For example, Qin Lang was from the mathematics department of Yin University. Could it be that we are being looked down upon, so she is unwilling to come and receive the award? The team members trembled. This segment was supposed to be filled with love. Usually, the ones who won the prize were lovely girls. But this time? A big shot actually won the prize. In the face of everyone's jeering, the host's voice was still sweet. She smiled slightly. I know that everyone's enthusiasm for this lucky draw winner may surpass the players on the stage. But it's okay. If everyone really likes it, you can pay more attention to the works. Everyone was speechless. What a ruthless woman. The works of? Was that something that humans could understand? In the end, the second special prize was won by a delicate and pretty little girl. She went on stage and hugged Qin Lang first. Then she ran down with a red face. When the competition officially ended, on the way back, many people hit on Old Master Qin. You are? I like you so much. Old Master Qin was speechless. Bei Yunj was speechless. Immediately, the girl's boyfriend pulled her back. Are you stupid? It's a woman, and I heard that she's quite young. When the girl heard that, she immediately reacted. She looked at Old Master Qin apologetically. I'm sorry. I was wrong. I'm fine. Old Master Qin waved at her and quickly left with Bei Yunj, entering the backstage. Backstage. Qin Lang brought Old Master Qin and Old Master Qin into the lounge. The team members greeted Old Master Qin obediently. Then they couldn't help but look at Bei Yunj. Wasn't this too beautiful? If it wasn't for the old man, he really wanted to talk to his boss's sister. At this moment, Old Master Qin saw that the boys were all very polite, and didn't notice that they were all secretly looking at Bei Yunj. His prejudice against the players in the game was mostly dispelled. Not bad. Work hard. Old Master Qin had never been the gentle type towards boys. He only nodded his head calmly to show his approval. I will, Grandpa Qin. Several team members couldn't help but nod. Chapter 442. Yes, this is my granddaughter, Bei Yunj. Old Master Qin said proudly. Bei Yunj glanced at the people in front of her and nodded at them. Hello. The members were speechless. She was simply a girl who looked beautiful. Even her voice was so pleasant to the ears. Okay, I'm good. The members nodded. They finally understood why their boss was so happy without a girlfriend. With a younger sister who looked like this, why would he need a girlfriend? He could even shorten his lifespan. Qin Lang noticed the menacing gazes of his team members and immediately went forward to grab the back of their collars and flung them back. The one who made the most mistakes this time still has the cheek to say that? The celebration party is over. Go back and practice for 2 hours. As for the two of you, how did you brag to me last time? You wanted Xiaoji to go home and farm in 10 minutes? Qin Lang slapped their heads. One of them was almost sent home to farm by Xiaoji, while the other gave Xiaoji his head twice. After being lectured in public, none of the team members dared to say anything more. Old Master Qin also realized that even if his grandson played games, he did not seem like he was doing something improper. Instead, it made people feel that he was youthful and hot-blooded. The cheers in the arena were the best proof. After returning home, Old Master Qin was very happy. On the other hand, Qin Lang sat in the front passenger seat and kept touching his right hand. Bei Yunj happened to see this scene from the corner of her eye. Soon, she looked away, the meaning in her eyes unclear. Even after she was reborn, the Qin family did not seem to have deviated from its original development. Until now, only Old Master Qin had been saved by Bei Yunj. Beautiful, however, Qin Lang's hand injury. Qin Yu's disfigurement by fans because he was framed for having a crush on a child, and Qin Lian's entanglement with that woman were still happening. After returning to the old mansion, the moment Bei Yunj entered, she did not expect to see Huashidu sitting by the sofa with Qin Lian on either side. The atmosphere was tense. Why was he here? Shidu, you're finally here. Old Master Qin seemed to have known that Huashidu would come. Yes, Grandpa Qin and Yunyuan went to watch the competition today? Huashidu walked over and helped Old Master Qin sit on the sofa. Yes. Even though Ah Lang is a professional gamer, he didn't embarrass the Qin family. Old Master Qin's eyes were filled with pride. That's only natural. Gaming competitions are no different from other competitions. Huashidu chatted with Old Master Qin, but from the corner of his eye, he kept paying attention to the silent young lady beside him. However, then, before Huashidu could speak to Bei Yunj, the young lady in front of him suddenly stood up. Grandpa, I'm a little sleepy. I'm going to sleep first. When Old Master Qin heard this, he thought that Bei Yunj was tired from watching the competition with him. He immediately said, Okay. Grandpa will get someone to call you downstairs for dinner later. No need. I'll come down in an hour, Bei Yunj said with a smile. Dinner time in the Qin family's old mansion had always been 7:30 p.m. It was exactly 6:30. All right, go and sleep for a while. Old Master Qin nodded, not noticing Hoshida's expression at all. Okay. After Bei Yunj went upstairs. Chapter 443. After going upstairs, Bei Yunj received a message. She opened the chat list and saw that it was a screenshot sent to her by Tich and the others. As for the content of the screenshot, it was Hong Chongjin who had been causing a commotion recently. After mentioning Bei Yunj, he wrote another essay. It was called The Capitalist's Plaything. As expected, the protagonist of Hong Chongjin's essay, which was filled with hatred for evil, was Bei Yunj. Tich, teacher, does this person have a grudge against you? Jasmine, this person is really tasteless. When Tich and I went online, we saw that his students had posted a translated version of it on the foreign web. Jasmine, but it's okay. Tich and I have already scolded him on behalf of teacher. Like. When Bei Yunj saw these messages, she thought for a moment and quickly replied. Have you completed the task that I assigned to you last time? Tich and Jasmine, who were far away in country were speechless. Why did her teacher place more importance on them than her own gossip? Tich, it's done. Jasmine, +1 okay. I'll take care of the rest. Don't worry. Indeed, Pei Yunj did not expect Hong Chongjin to be so playful at his age. Soon, Pei Yunj sent a message to Marcus. Qingchong Computing Center. Save the book. Hong Chongjin looked at the internet. Other than his good friends, even the other netizens liked and shared his post, supporting his statement. There was a hint of pride in his eyes. He clicked on the comments and continued to scroll down. I've long felt that there was a problem. A month ago, she was someone who I had never heard of. The moment she stepped out of the industry, she was involved in a research project worth 10 billion yuan. After that, she fixed a bug for Example Corporation. Isn't this too much of a coincidence? It's worthy of a conspiracy theory. Since she's so amazing, why isn't there any news of her winning the Busaka Prize? They didn't even invite her to participate, right? Haha, you guys don't know, right? She even went to watch the Maps of the Gods competition today. Everyone was shouting her name. Those who didn't know would think that she was an idol. If you want to be a scientific genius, you have to see if you have the capital. Professor Hong dares to speak the truth. Like, Professor Hong is too straightforward. Seeing these comments, Hong Chongjin didn't have time to feel complacent. Suddenly, he flipped to the next post. Research Institute, Zhongshenglin. You really think you're a plaything? Qingchong Computing Center, Hong Chongjin, published a headline article, The Plaything of Capitalists, in an instant. Hong Chongjin's expression changed. He didn't expect that Zhong Shenglin would dare to criticize him so directly on the internet. This Zhong Shenglin. Hong Chongjin gritted his teeth and clicked on Zhong Shenglin's repost with anger. However, he discovered that almost no one was on his side. There was even a familiar ID in the front row of the hot comments. Our nation's Medical Research Institute. Thank you very much. The medical testing machine was developed last month. The first machine has entered the testing stage. I believe that more patients will be treated in the near future. When this comment came out, many netizens were shocked. So how much trouble did he cause in the last month? The Delaney 10 billion project, the Maps of the Gods bug, and even a computerized medical device? Is it very impressive to make a machine? What kind of contrarian is the upstairs poster? The medical machines used by our nation's Medical Research Institute are all top-notch medical machines. Chapter 444. Hong Chongjin's face was distorted. He didn't expect that even Stephen would come and interfere. One had to know that if these research institutes dared to take sides, how could they not have instructions from the higher-ups? At this moment, it was also because of Zhong Shenglin and the Our Nation's Medical Institute statements that the rumors from a while ago gradually subsided. After all, this industry was very far from ordinary people like them, and it was not something they should worry about. Besides, even the top computing expert in the country, Zhong Shenglin, was speaking up for her now. It was really hard to say who was right and who was wrong. At the Qin family's old residence. After eating downstairs, Bei Yunj went upstairs quickly. Qin Lang could not help but be puzzled. Is there a lot of homework recently? The man beside her answered carelessly. His eyes were lowered, looking lazy and light, but the corners of his upturned eyes were charming. Gur is really hardworking, right? Don't you know Hung does homework the best? Qin Yu said. In the past, Qin Lang was also a student of Hungda. Qin Yu turned around and asked, Master Du, does Gur often do homework after school when she's with you? Grandpa Qin, I'll go upstairs and rest for a while. Okay. Old Master Qin immediately said, Shidu, your room is the first one on the right corridor. Qin Lang nodded, feeling very relieved. However, the moment he finished speaking, the man who had not spoken much suddenly stood up. However, he did not expect the room to be bright when the door was pushed open. Hoshida's pale-colored eyes darkened. His well-defined hand was still on the door handle calmly. At the same time, I'm sorry to trouble you, Grandpa. After Hoshidu went upstairs, he was not in a hurry to find the little girl. Instead, he pushed open the door of the guest room and planned to take a shower first. Bei Yunj was about to get out of bed when she realized that she was wearing a very cool halter dress. There was a brown teddy bear on the bedside table. In the next moment, Bei Yunj, who had just taken a shower and was sitting by the bed with her laptop, froze when she heard the noise. She instantly understood why this guest room was so clean. Because this was prepared for Huashidu. Huashidu went forward and reached out his hand playfully. His slender index finger poked her head under the silk blanket. Why did you run to your brother's bed? Big brother, go out for a while. I'll fix this bed for you. After Bei Yunj finished speaking calmly, she did not expect the bed to suddenly sink. Bei Yunj heard footsteps at the door. She immediately grabbed the teddy bear on the bedside table and covered herself with the quilt. This was what Huashidu saw when he walked in. The man's thin lips raised a light arc, and even the usual lazy peach blossom eyes overflowed with the light of a smile. Bei Yunj. This man was definitely doing it on purpose. Not long after, Huashidu sat beside her. No need. Yunyan didn't even talk to me when I came over today. Huashida's thin red lips curled up. His usual lazy eyes were filled with a seductive smile. It's just nice now. Only Yunyan and I can have a good chat. Bei Yunj composed herself and slowly poked her head out of the silk blanket. But she didn't want to. When she looked up, she almost leaned into Huashida's chest and smelled the man's pleasant and cold scent. Bei Yunj calmly covered her head with the blanket and moved back. What do you want to talk about? That you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.